So I was saying in the chat that I bought Conan Exiles for Xbox One, and I haven't felt like such a fucking baby-faced amateur in a long time. This game dropped me in the middle of the desert and was like, "Hey, go live," and I died so many fucking times. Just trying to fucking survive, basically.
I'm disappointed that there's not a whole lot of swing and dong in the console version.
There's none of it, actually. They don't even let you change the endowment setting.
I mean, when you were like near death, did you like pray to Crom and be like, if this is where I die, the hell with you?
The funny thing about it is you can choose what deity you align yourself with.
Oh shit!
And I chose Crom because basically it says Crom only admires the strong and detests the weak, and if you call on him, he's likely to just ignore you.
Yep, it's pretty great.
And in fact, if he does answer you, he's probably going to send doom and gloom your way. I'm like, awesome. That's the kind of god I can get behind. One who's like, call on me. No, here's some shit to fight. Leave me alone. I spent, because there is a tutorial. It's just very hard to find. It's not in-game display boxes. It's kind of in the environment. And I didn't know you have to forage for supplies from everything around you. And I get to like this little oasis area, and I was like, "Oh, good, water," because my character is literally dying from thirst. I get to the shoreline, and like a 30-foot crocodile tears me to shreds. And then while I'm fending off the crocodile, 2 naked tribals come over and start beating on my ass. And then I respawn back in the desert. I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" I get all the way back to the oasis. They're like, "Build a bedroll." I was like, "From what?"
I don't
know what to do.
I mean, you should be grateful. Usually people pay good money and get their ass beaten by 2 naked dudes.
Yeah, seriously. Well, it was 1 woman and 1 man.
Well, 2 naked people.
Damn.
I guess I got too close to their campfire, and between me and the crocodile, they thought I was the bigger problem. The crocodile's been here. You're a man. You're gonna steal our stuff.
They've made peace with the crocodile. Like, they don't mess with it, and it doesn't mess with them. But people are unpredictable, and especially on an online game.
No, well, I'm playing offline because they give you that option.
Oh,
just because
really?
the last thing I need is a bunch of fucking griefers rolling up on me and slaying me in my sleep while I'm trying to figure out how to build a campfire.
Oh, see, I've read so many great stories about people being griefers in Rust that I would love to go into Conan and do something that I've read about.
I was actually going to ask, is Conan basically just Rust?
I wouldn't. It's nowhere near. See, because I went in so blind, I was having problems. But I just booted it up again today. Started a new game, and within like 30 minutes, I was way more ahead than I was last night in many of my attempts. And because it's offline, I have the option of turning on co-op, but like no one's bothering me except the AI, and I can stay away from the AI as long as I want and just figure the game out.
Does it actually have any type of real story, or is it just...
I mean, I haven't really dug into it yet, but like Conan shows up in the opening sequence and cuts you off this crucifixion cross that he finds you on, and he's like, yeah, where I'm from, you kill your enemies in battle, not leave them out here to die like dogs.
Then you kill Conan and take his sword.
I killed you, I took your sword! Anyway, I'm Connor McGraw, and this is another After Dark version of the Phantom Zone. We got some infuriating Sony news, among other things. Yeah. Fuck Venom!
Just jumping right into
Fuck
it.
Venom!
Arlen Harrow here, as usual.
Eric Fedorchak, kill Frodo.
Strangle Pippin.
I'm Lou Gonzalez.
I'm John Seiler. I'm actually already on the DLC for Conan, where I killed Conan on his horse in the back, and it's called The Assassination of Conan by the Cowardly John Seiler.
Wow!
God damn!
Damn!
Holy shit! I don't think any of us were ready for that one.
No, that was perfect.
Also, I want to address something. Lou, you said I'm Lou Gonzalez with a question mark. That good bit there, just so we don't forget that one. But yeah, that was good.
Is that a bit I'm missing out on?
No, just I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if Lou intended it or not. That's the thing. I'm kind of asking.
Are you Chills from the Top 15 videos on YouTube?
Oh, I thought it was more like...
I don't know if this is a CGI creature, but I think it's real, and I'm going to end every sentence with an upward inflection. I love that guy's channel. I can't fucking stand his voice.
I tried watching some of his stuff, and it made me want to throw the computer through.
And here's the thing, like, at some point recently I was watching one of his things, and I'm like a fucking masochist at this point, because I'm like, oh, he's got a new one. Oh, it's 30 minutes. I'll deal. Like, he gets to number 2, and he's like, by the way, I have a mixtape. I was like, oh, you fucking didn't.
No.
I was like, who would listen to you?
Oh,
and then here I am going like,
is
I don't know.
I need to know.
Also,
it's like that David Lynch CD that came out a couple years ago.
Also, by the way...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, by the way, I forgot the full title of that game. It's The Assassination of Conan the Barbarian by the cowardly John Seiler.
It's very important you add that in. It's important because he wasn't wearing any armor.
Yeah, it's also important to add Barbarian to make it even better.
Yeah, you didn't kill Conan O'Brien.
Right. yeah. You just take his hair with you and...
Yes. Well, no, what you do is you wear it and then you become the next Conan.
God damn it.
And then, what's it fucking... Dino fucking... God damn it. What is this?
Dino De Laurentiis.
Dino De Laurentiis comes out and goes, you are Conan.
Okay, side tangent on, old internet memes. Does anyone remember the...
Mr. T ate my balls?
No, the Yogi Bear version of...
Yes!
Oh my god! That was the strangest fucking thing.
Wasn't it done by the people who animated the movie Yogi Bear, too?
It is such a strange thing to watch, because I'm like, someone spent the time to animate this. It's one of the most bizarre things I'd seen. Boo Boo Gone Wild.
And I don't know what video this was. It was maybe one of the last videos I've seen from this guy, from the Nostalgia Critic. And I don't want to give that guy any kind of fucking press, because fuck that guy. But he did an homage to the assassin, to that whole bit. Maybe I want to save for his Yogi Bear episode, and I was like, you know what, I'll fucking see this. I want to see how bad this movie was. And he does maybe a bit of that, and I'm just like, what a fucking weird 8-year-old meme for you to call back on, because I don't know if any of your audience knows what this is.
Can I ask why fuck the Nostalgia Critic? Because I don't pay enough attention to him to.
I mean, there's a 12-page document on it. But,
oh shit!
But basically, Nostalgia Critic treated a lot of his people that were contributors for the site like garbage. And then when they filmed the films where they had a bunch of people on, they didn't provide food or drinks or anything like that. They made some of the people who were a part of the film do things that they were uncomfortable with, disregarded their feelings, and also outed one of their contributors who committed suicide as a sexual predator.
Jesus.
Whoa.
Yeah. If you Google it, you could probably easily find it. But for the sake of this group, I'll try and find the main document and send it to you guys. But basically, if you're wondering why you go to Nostalgia or was it Channel Awesome, and they only have 3 contributors, and one of them is Nostalgia Critic, that's why so many people.
I was saying the only guy I know who I heard was an affiliate was God damn it, Atop the Fourth Wall guy. I can't remember his name.
Linkar is gone.
Yeah. Okay.
When everything went down, everyone left. And the only 2 contributors they still have left are Brad Jones, who I super love, and Guru Larry, who I'm not a huge fan of. But there's this bet between the two that might be there, but like it might be also like people just talking about it of like whoever leaves the site last like wins the bet. They're like the last.
Oh no, that's a war of attrition I don't want to be a part of. And like wasn't Angry Video Game Nerd part of that?
No, but he does a bunch of videos with him. Also, fuck that guy.
Yeah. I don't. He was funny to me the first 2-3 times I saw him. I'm like, and then after that I was like, yeah, no, your gimmick is very transparent.
Mm-hmm. Sure,
you play a game and then you go, this game is vomit out of a bull's testicles, blah, and that's basically all he does.
Fuck. Sure,
because that's a style of internet like reviewer that was very prevalent for like 5 to 6 years of YouTube and internet culture that
the faux outrage,
which like I'm kind of glad like hopefully has gone by, but then like every time I see like a new animated project like a new She-Ra comes out and I'm just like, oh cool, like let me see like what like interviews are out for this yet, and it's just like the fucking dirt worst people like making the shittiest videos.
Well, it's also, I feel like a lot of the people that grew up watching that didn't understand that it was an act, and now their real outrage
you mean like
what
the people
translates to Twitter?
You mean people who watch CinemaSins and go, this is valid, and then use one of their criticisms as like an actual ironclad argument against a film? Like my friend Joe, who watches movies. Actually, no, I'm sorry. He doesn't watch movies, and he makes his opinions on them solely based on things he's seen and heard around the internet or people have told him. He hasn't seen Lord of the Rings, but he'll tell you they suck.
That sounds like a few attributes that are similar to someone we all know, too.
Oh, yeah. You mean the man with the most confusing Facebook post I've ever seen today? What in the fuck was that? It's like 4 sentences, and I can't figure out how I got to the fourth one.
I love how if you look at the comments for that post, it's all just you guys. It's no one else.
So John, to fill you in, hang on, I'm gonna dig this stuff. Is Alan here in the call?
No, he's not. So he can't defend himself.
Well,
but here's the thing.
I'm sorry, Alan.
No.
We recorded our Blade review a year ago, which is what must have inspired this. But I don't understand.
Okay, where the hell was this? Okay, here it is. All right, try to keep up with this. Finished Superman and was going to give Man of Steel a go, but said fuck it and bought Big Trouble in Little China instead because of an homage in it to Blade.
Wait, what's the homage in Blade to Big Trouble in Little China?
So he meant the reverse very clearly, but still it makes no sense. There's not a moment in Blade where you're like, that's out of Big Trouble in Little China.
Wait, like
that never happened.
Wait, are you saying that he watched 1970s Superman and didn't want to watch Man of Steel?
Yes.
Yes, because at this point he had only ever seen the first hour of Man of Steel. The worst hour of Man of Steel, to be honest.
The second hour really challenges that.
I was going to say all hours.
Well, no, I would say the last hour because it's like 2.5 hours or whatever. But no, like, I'll defend Man of Steel like every day, so don't even try. But no, like,
I haven't seen Man of Steel in quite a while, but
that's your problem.
Man of Steel is a movie I like and can totally understand why people have a distaste for it.
Yeah, no, I have massive problems with it.
I like to call it Man of Disappointment.
I mean, that's fair. Also, that's the thing. It's a movie where it's like, I get why.
Man, you remember that time that Pa Kent told Clark Kent to
Oh, okay, he
killed all the horses.
No, here's the thing. I hate that.
Didn't want the to find out that he was Superman when it's a fucking small town, and of course everyone already knows that the Kent boy is fucking weird.
Yeah. God, drunk John. I'm slurring my words more than John is.
Dude, I like as someone who grew up in like a very small town, it's like, dude, do you think that they could keep like a secret like that undercover? Like, Pa Kent is a fucking fool.
No, it's really dumb. The TV show Smallville is the biggest argument against that. Clearly, that's not a secret that can be kept. I'm not. Hey, I'm not Connor. I'm just saying. Smallville shows that you cannot keep that secret because everybody learns his secret at some point or another. But yeah, like no, I agree. Like I hate Pa Kent. Like there are.
We're all in agreement on the John Kent from Man of Steel being like the dirt worst.
Pa Kent is bad, and the second fight with Zod is
not even
terrible.
Kent. Not even Pa Kent. Like both, like Pa and Ma Kent are like the worst.
Yeah, but she's not bad till BVS. She's not bad in MOS. So
very seemingly selfish people they come across as, and like Jor-El comes across as very, very intelligent and like has very good intentions for his son. And
he represents God.
Son is
which is the reverse of how it should be. Honestly.
Yeah. So in Snyder's version, Mary and Joseph were assholes.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Which is a problem. Yeah. Like this is one of the things where I'm like,
I think they effectively assassinate Martha Kent by Batman vs Superman because like that line versus like be their hero or be their villain, like whatever. You don't owe these people a damn thing. It's like
that's the woman that married that Jonathan.
That's the point. But here's the thing: it's like Superman is a product of like a two kind couple living in Kansas. Like Superman is like truth, justice in American way. Because Pa and Ma Kent are like the fucking coolest. And the reason why like Man of Steel Superman is cold and distant and has kind of disdain for human life is because Pa and Ma Kent like don't see the value of human life.
Yeah, like, and the only human lives that matter to him are Lois's and his parents. That's it. He doesn't really have any vested interest in the lives of other people.
Yeah, they totally mess up Superman. I agree.
Oh my god! Fuck you! How do you make that worse with Justice League? Like that, having rewatched that scene, like after I saw Justice League in theaters, and I think that moment washed over me, and I was like, that didn't happen. And then I went home and like rewatched it again. I was like, what the fuck was anybody thinking keeping this in here?
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, and
they wanted their bonuses.
Yes. I mean, mind you, they swayed very far away from Superman and his character in the comics. But hell, even when he came back to life in the comics, he was just like, hey, what can I do? My powers aren't that great right now, and I've got a mullet. Let's rock. Like,
it's because somebody, be it Snyder, and I think this was maybe it was Snyder, maybe it was somebody else. Somebody in that fucking studio got a diamond hard erection for a Superman who is maybe ambiguously not so great.
No, Snyder.
No, that was Snyder.
Snyder's gone on record saying that he loves The Dark Knight Returns and he loves watching it. And it's like when you watch like his Man of Steel, it's like, oh, of course, like this is a guy that like loves Frank Miller. And if you read Frank Miller's stuff, it's like he kind of doesn't like Superman, which is why I don't know why DC is giving him a Black Label book about fucking Superman. That's besides the point.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Angry nerds will buy it.
What's our first news story?
Yeah, okay. So it's a lot of James Gunn because things have been happening this week.
James Gunn is going to be hired by another studio and make a lot of money.
Yeah, the first story was basically like a lot of studios are definitely coming to him, like offering him stuff. And these can kind of be one thing.
I know Warner Brothers' name came up, but like, here's the thing: Warner Brothers is a studio who walk up to James Gunn and go, "Yeah, come on over, make a movie for us." And then halfway through his movie, they'd go, "This isn't what we want. Change everything."
Yeah, I think he's smart though, and he wouldn't work with them, but he'll work with Universal. I guarantee it.
It actually like wouldn't surprise me if James Gunn kind of takes like the same path that like Sam Raimi does, where it's like he did like Spider-Man 3, and
only because he was contractually obligated to.
Right. Well, so you're saying we avoided his Spider-Man 3?
Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 happened the way it did because he wanted to do a different movie and they made him make something else.
But it's like the idea that's like he did Spider-Man 3 and then like afterwards he did like Drag Me to Hell, and then it was like And I feel like the next film that you see from James Gunn is not a franchise, not like an established property or like a reinvention of something. It's like going to be like an original film that's written, directed by him. And like that's like the kind of, it's like a break from like a big budget film. And then like you'll get like the big budget James Gunn film in like 2025.
Right. His Wizard of Oz movie starring James Franco.
I was going to say, like,
remember that film happened? That's a film that exists.
Yes.
If he goes to Universal, either give him the reins to the Dark Universe.
Yeah, he can be their Kevin Feige for that.
Or, to really screw Marvel, give him a Namor movie. Just let him do it. Just to give a big fuck you to the mouse.
What would Namor even do in it? Like, who would he be associated with? It's not like Namor has a rich tapestry of characters.
They just make up a villain. He fights a giant evil underwater rat.
You know, he like
he fights a giant slither creature from Slither. That's like, the obvious answer.
Like, honestly, if he was gonna take over like a big budget thing, it's like I just like bypass comics. It's like, man, like I'd love to see like a James Gunn like Star Trek movie or like a James Gunn Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I'll do you one better. James Gunn, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
But once again, Lucasfilm, so it doesn't. Well, no, it's not Lucasfilm.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it was.
It is.
Right. No, it's a co-owned. It's co-owned by Paramount and Lucasfilm.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, but if Disney remains hard-lined on this, then he's never going to touch any of that.
I don't know. That's the other story.
That's the other half.
Kevin Feige is pissed, apparently, from all the reports.
As he should be.
Because I guess everybody was off on vacation. Because I guess these companies schedule their vacation the same time that Congress does, or whatever. I don't know, but so they were on vacation. That's when this firing happened. So basically, the people left to steer the ship, they'd made that decision, and he is doing everything he actively can to get James Gunn back in the director's chair. Which I'll say this right now, that actually makes me like Kevin Feige even more than I already do.
Yeah.
Even if he's unsuccessful.
Well, that's the thing, though. Having him pushing for this, I think, could sway the mouse quite a bit. Like, and none of this stuff has been officially confirmed yet. So this is everything. Both Disney's not going to take him back. Oh, well. Also, he's fighting for him. Oh,
in the wake of this, because of the whole Roseanne fiasco, like how stupid this all appears to be is very clear. Because Roseanne came out and she's like, "I'm disgusted by how much support James Gunn is getting," and then like you break it down, it's like you were in the middle of a reunion for your TV show and you said something so fucking blatantly racist and ignorant and mean-spirited with intention and didn't apologize for it. Then you got fired.
Oh, well, no, she said that she didn't intend for it to be racist. She can't believe people interpreted it.
She's a fucking liar.
Uh-huh.
And James Gunn has actively said, yeah, you shouldn't be the person I was 10 years ago, and those things I said were vile, and you should always strive to be a better person.
But also within the work that he's producing, like he is like in the interviews he has said like since then, and like he is like not that person at that point. Like, because it's like, here's the thing, it's like every single one of us, like at some point within like middle school or high school, is super embarrassed about the things that they've said.
Jesus Christ! Every day.
In middle school and high school, I used to say like gay as pejorative because it was a thing that like everyone said, and at some point, like and not to say that it's like, oh, I met someone and they're gay and they turned me around to like the idea of like where. It's like, sure, because of the life experiences that you have changed the way that you are as a person.
Yes.
But it was like also because like I have like this free and open internet, and I was able to like see other people and their lives and see like how that they lived and experience, and like I've like kind of like tried to fix myself over time to where like I'm the person I am today, and I'm not proud of the things like I would have said when I was in middle school, but like also like, hey, like if you went through like throughout my Twitter and Facebook feed, I'm very, very and not to like have someone go out and like go through my Twitter feed, but like, hey, I very severely doubt that you'll find something that's like super like offensive, because like I'm the person that you see in real life that I am online. Like and I feel like too many people will just like post stuff online without like really thinking about it.
Oh yeah, it's like the Facebook to time hop is like my worst enemy, because it reminds me what like a fucking miserable person I was 10 years ago, and then I think back on all the stupid shit I've done that put me in horrendous situations, and I go, wow, I'm glad I learned from that, and I'm not that dude anymore. And it's amazing that people can't wrap their head around the idea of someone making mistakes, trying their best to not really fix these mistakes, but you can make up for them and you can do better. And he's been super vocal about it. And like everyone, most people I know who have a rational argument about it are like, oh, Disney tried talking out of both sides of their fucking mouth and failed miserably.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the problem with the people being pissed off, I feel like they're all 20-somethings who haven't lived long enough to realize that what they did when they were younger, because they are younger, that they grew. Like they've never had that time.
I saw that one girl on a mutual friend's post who went off in this. I don't care if she listens to this show. I don't know this person. Fuck you, by the way, if you ever hear this, because you're dumb. She like went in this ridiculous tangent. She's like, I think I'll just boycott these actors now, because who can support such a disgusting man? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I was like,
that woman.
I was like, first of all, keep your fucking money. The world's gonna turn, and these people will be successful with or without you. So please take a step off that fucking horse. Secondly, I was like, again, you were a prime example of someone who just doesn't understand the concept of someone trying to make themselves into a better person and, be on a better path. And in this case, like I said, with Disney, they had to appeal to, I guess, the quote unquote left, because Disney effectively owns the company who owns Roseanne, right?
Yes.
Right.
So,
okay.
Roseanne was ABC, so yeah.
So they thought this was a stupid fucking blood for blood situation. That's not what this is. That's not what this ever has been.
Also,
like
by the way, like Guardians of the Galaxy is gonna make you way for more fucking money than Roseanne would have made you.
Yes,
true.
Yes, it will.
That and Roseanne was a ticking time bomb. It didn't matter if she went off when she did or if she would have gone off later, but it was going to happen.
It's also like kind of the current fear that I recently just rewatched like all of Frasier, and I'm on this like kind of Kelsey Grammer high, but like also like Kelsey Grammer in real life is kind of a huge piece of shit. And
really?
Really? Because he has like 6 wives.
Also,
his current wife made him tattoo her name on his like right above his penis, so that if he cheated, the woman would know who it belonged to.
And like,
dude's kind of a piece of shit. Yeah.
I don't know if he's necessarily like. I wouldn't say that he's like alt-right, but like he's like
a very conservative politics.
Yeah,
I mean he's conservative enough that his publicist was like, maybe you shouldn't talk about that. So
and it's like one of those things where it's like there's like a serious talks right now about like a Frasier revival, and it's like, dude, like I mean, like I like Frasier, but like I don't necessarily want to see like conservative. Like
I mean,
Kelsey
to be
Grammer
fair,
pretend to be like liberal, like radio disc jockey.
To be fair, I feel like they're so polar opposite, and he is such a serious actor compared to someone like Roseanne.
Yeah.
That I don't think it would affect anything at all if you brought the same writers back and you brought all the same people working on it back.
He's also,
I think that's a fair
smarter.
Like,
he's more composed.
Yeah, Kelsey Grammer is a much more intelligent person in the sense that he is not going to go on Twitter at 2 a.m. And say a bunch of like blatantly hateful shit, and then the next day go, Ambien did it.
Which
also, I don't think he's a racist.
Like not to defend Roseanne, but like it's pretty publicized that like she has always had like a ton of mental issues. Like her entire life.
I don't care if it's satire or not, because like when you try to say this is satire, I'm gonna kind of go,
no.
Is it though? Is that picture she did for some fucking magazine where she's dressed as
Hitler
Hitler
cookies?
putting Jewish, quote unquote Jewish cookies into an oven Fuck off.
Well,
that's
that
funny.
That was actually a Jewish magazine, if I remember correctly. That's based out of Germany.
Then those people are fools.
Yeah, I might be misremembering it, but I'm pretty sure that's what I'd read. But that was where that photo shoot came from.
She is Jewish or was Jewish. I don't know.
But anyway,
the
point
Jewish.
of this is that all this nasty, despicable, hateful piece of shit who dug up these tweets in the first place may have effectively won this little battle. He's going to lose the war because money makes the world go round, and someone's going to throw a whole bunch of fucking money at James Gunn to go make him a movie that's a success.
Well, but here's the thing, and unfortunately, it's like now that Disney owns Fox, it's like hopefully the company that owns 40% of the marketplace is on your side, and
I mean,
that's a lot harder to say.
It's until there's an official announcement from anyone from Disney outside of the only thing we know for sure is that he was fired. Everything else is hearsay at this point. And I mean, it's good to hear this opposite end of all the scuttlebutt, but until Bob Iger or a representative of Bob Iger or Kevin comes out and says we're not happy about the situation, we're actively working to fix it, I don't know what to believe.
I mean, if you're Dave Bautista and you stopped giving a fuck a week ago, and you're just like, hey, Disney, you bunch of fucking cowards, why don't you rehire my friend, or I'm not going to come do your dumb movie.
Yeah,
but I mean, so here's the thing. The problem with him saying all that is he's replaceable, to be honest.
Well, here's the thing. He knows he's replaceable, but Dave Bautista also has money until he has enough money to keep him fine until he's dead.
And also, Dave Bautista is a guy who's already worked for a multi-million-dollar company.
Exactly.
And and then he's already it's bypass again Bautista's a guy who possibly did some really kind of shitty things a decade ago, involving cheating on his wife, but has since then seems like a pretty cool fucking dude who's loyal to the company he works for and the people he works with, and will kind of protect them in the way that he can kind of do. And seeing him come out gritting his teeth, being look, bring this guy back, he is the heart and soul of this movie, and if he's gone, then it's there's nothing here, and I like that, and and hopefully it's hopefully Guardians 3 brings back James Gunn, and and the movie ends up being really cool. But how often do people who are fired from projects end up actually coming back? It happened it happened with Halo, with the District 9 director.
Well,
it happened.
Halo, that just didn't happen.
Yeah,
that just fell apart.
I would say the difference is how much money he's made them and how much money he can make them.
But the thing about, and the reason I'm bringing up the District 9 director was the District 9 director was working on Halo. Universal and Microsoft didn't want him, and then he went and made District 9, became a huge success. They were like, "Hey, you want to come back?" And he's like, "No, I'm done. You fired me. You didn't have trust in me. You didn't think I was good enough, and I'm going to move on and go do my own thing." And that's essentially that's what I essentially think James Gunn's going to do. It's at some point they're going to offer him his role back, and he's going to say, "You know what? No, I'm good. I'm going to move on."
I can see that.
Well, I think he's going to say add a 0, and then I'll be good.
Yeah. And honestly, though, I don't know how much the director of District 9 was in love with Halo, and you get a definitive feeling that James Gunn cares about these characters.
Well, also, James Gunn's voice and his very personal aesthetic is so important to these characters that they had him come in and direct and write the sequences for these characters for Infinity War. What does that fucking tell you about how important he is to those characters? That you trust him so much to be present for that film.
Beyond that, too,
and also the fact that they fired him, but they're still using his fucking script.
Well, that's
there's been headlines. There have been headlines saying they're canning it. They're not using it.
Well, okay, yeah, but there's also here's the thing. Part of the Feige story is him saying he wants as much of Gunn's original vision to stay intact as possible.
Well, what my point was going to be. Sorry to interrupt, Arlen. my point was going to be that he was also going to be like the figurehead of the Marvel galactic stuff, and that might be why Kevin is kind of like, hey, we need him back because we had a lot of big plans going forward.
I was saying that was something and you can't just pass that off to somebody like, hey, Taika, come do this and come be the fucking leading figure for this massive project. And he's probably like, no, I have stuff I want to do.
What's also
Taika's
if he's
only really fired, then you just like drop those plans, and that completely changes a lot of things.
We see how that works out. Thanks, Inhumans.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a different thing, but yes. It
falls into the same category because it was a plan that got completely shifted, and then
but that was just Ike's plan.
That was definitely a barb to get back to the side. Like, look, we took this thing that you had built up, and now we basically just crapped it out.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think anyways, point is, if they were really planning as far ahead as they said, they were saying they were planning 10 years ahead, and my assumption was that movies going forward would be like half cosmic, half set on Earth, or even more than that. So that would just throw everything off. I think you're right that's why,
especially
Feige is fighting very hard for Gunn.
If they acquire Fox, like if that goes through, a lot of the characters they would be acquiring play in space a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's why I think that they would be, or at least the Marvel side of things would be very much like, wait, we kind of need him, because I thought post-Avengers 4 it was supposed to start going into the more space-oriented stuff, was the plan originally.
Yeah.
Because it seems like,
and that's coming up.
It seems like they're building up to like a Galactus, especially if they own him.
Yeah,
potentially.
Or like if they do Annihilation in space, like as a several parts movie.
Someone answer me this question. In the Amalgam verse, it was like these two cosmic beings, right, that caused everything. Does Marvel have the rights to their cosmic being, or is that a shared thing where
what the amalgam creature would have been?
Yeah.
No, because it would have been DC, aspects of DC's character and aspects of Marvel's character mixed together in the amalgam.
Well, no. He's asking if the two like celestial beings that put the DC and Marvel characters in the same spot from the fight. Who owns those two?
Oh,
who owns
right.
Did they own one apiece?
They're probably co-owned.
I don't know though.
I would imagine that they would have to be co-owned, and that you would need one of them sign off, or the Marvel owns the Marvel one and DC owns the DC one. But I mean, that's a possibility of another villain. And I mean, it would be a great way again to explain the X-Men, where you just use that character as sort of saying, I have another brother who's in a verse with the X-Men or something. So yeah, that could be something that I just thought of now. But yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, until there's something official announced, I don't know what to believe. Like, it feels like it's just the pendulum swinging the opposite direction now with the news.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because there was like 50 articles made off of one interview with different headlines, and it was just so clickbaity. So I'm just going to...
It also wouldn't surprise me if we don't hear anything until like after April or after May.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, but
okay. I think we're good on James Gunn, unless somebody has like final thoughts on.
We're already almost 40 minutes in.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, that's what. Well, that's because we got a little bit slow. Okay. So first main story. Which Sony story do we want to talk about first? Actually,
oh my god. Can we just hold on? Can we just do a blanket? Sony is run by a bunch of ninny hammers.
Is that actually news though?
No, but like apparently it just needs to be like stated over and over again. It's not something you can't just say once and then like the universe gets the hint. No, like for some reason Amy Pascal still holds power.
Well, it's almost like anytime Sony starts to have something that...
Okay, like, are we talking about, like, the, like all the different movies that they're doing?
Well, I'm talking about, generally speaking, the fact that they came out swinging with Venom and said, this is going to be a hard R movie, this is going to be our Logan, blah, this is going to be our Deadpool, and then have basically completely backpedaled.
But maybe not.
Well, no, it's rumors, but still. It's everything, it's every rumor. Wow. Dog reporter Otis from the War Zone, once again.
You got Amy Pascal threw a sandwich at him.
God damn it. Amy, she's coming for you, Eric, run!
I haven't like really seen like a whole lot of like the Venom PG-13 thing because like I'm again like it's like one of those things where like unless it's like news of like some dude who takes a plane and goes for a joyride and does a loop-de-loop, I kind of don't know what happens because I'm like at a convention. But it's like the idea like that like people are like super freaked out about PG-13 Venom. Like, here's the one thing. It's like, okay, like Dark Knight was PG-13. I think.
Yeah,
I feel
Dark
like
Knight has some horrifying violence without actually showing you anything.
Yeah. And I feel like if you watch like that last Venom trailer, like there's like a lot of shit in that trailer that like kind of skirts the line, like including like a line about some guy like or Venom like suggesting about eating some guy's like face. Yeah,
but if it's
and
PG-13, he's not going to do those things.
Nope.
Yeah.
I think that's
on the other hand, like the story or the word on the street, I suppose, is that like they want to sanitize the movie so they can keep the door open for him to cross over into the MCU, which I have several problems with.
Which I would totally would.
Having your character murder for fun does not make him any more or less family friendly. B, you seem to already have no confidence in this character or this movie, and you're immediately trying to lean on other more successful, more popular characters to ensure that this is a success or a future success. And C, don't come out and promise people one thing and then decide later on for very silly reasons that you just want to change it.
I mean, like, okay, so counter argument. C, like, I don't think they went out and promised anything. Like, I feel like it was like maybe like a thing where they were like, oh, like it's gonna be like a hard R. I'm like, okay, like sure, maybe, okay. Like, like Deadpool is a movie that is PG-13, except for he says fuck a bunch of times.
That's true.
And I think like if you didn't have Deadpool say fuck a bunch of times, like it's still like at least Deadpool 1, because I don't think Deadpool 2 was very good. But Deadpool 1 is still like a good movie.
The bridge scene would like to talk to you about the amount of violence.
Yeah.
That would.
Well, in Deadpool 1, there's also the sex montage.
Yep.
There's a lot of. Yeah, and some of the violence is very.
If we're gonna really start talking about ratings, we have to talk about the fact that like the fucking god damn it.
But
the MPAA is not a singular body.
Penetration, and they don't show like butts. They don't show boobs.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the MPAA's rules are if you use.
Yo, dog! I work for an Arrow book publisher.
Yeah,
I
like
know
if you,
the rules.
If you use
that's
fuck
different
more than
though.
once, yeah, it is. If you use fuck more than once, you automatically get an R rating, and then after that, it's pretty much fair game until they say that's.
Well, that and like because the MPAA doesn't have any like solidified concrete members, it's just this like random assembly of like soccer moms and priests that they stuff into a room that nobody sees. And they won't
explain their rules to you either.
They make arbitrary decisions. Like, you ever heard the story about how Martin Scorsese brainwashed the MPAA into giving him the rating he wanted because he sent the same cutback over and over and over and over again until he just tricked these people into thinking he cut stuff out of the film.
Right.
Oh, there's
the South Park creators had to add. The South Park creators had to add images of the puppets from Team America. I think shitting on each other. I don't remember if that's in the original movie or not. They had to add that in order. Yeah, they had to add that in order to get themselves cut down to what they actually wanted because they never wanted to put that in the movie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's like a famous story that they purposely made that scene because they knew it'd get cut, but they wanted to make something so extreme that they would be told to cut that and they would ignore all the other fucked up shit.
Well, same thing with This Is the End, the Seth Rogen and everybody else. Like they put in specifically horrific scenes just so they could keep the stuff they wanted, specifically Satan having his cock cut off by a giant beam of heavenly light. But that's I mean, that's people know how to game them at this point, and these people don't know because they don't pay attention to the industry at all. They're just like, I like to watch movies. Oh, this is bad. We can't show a woman having moral pleasure.
But I guess like what constitutes like what is what a PG-13, what a hard PG-13 is versus like a soft R. It comes down to like basically nonsense.
The thing that brings you over to soft R is using fuck more than once.
I'll say this: is a PG-13 Venom in the current state as is any better than a rated R Venom in a current state?
Personally, because
you think it's in.
Because I'm such a fucking horror hound, and I'm also I'm a gore hound. Like there is something very appealing about seeing a very monstrous character get to physically destroy people.
There's also,
that is endearing to me.
To me,
and I'll say this: I had no interest whatsoever in Venom until I heard that it was rated R. Like that character holds no interest to me. I really don't care about Spider-Man or his Rogues Gallery that much, except
monster.
for. I'm sorry, I don't. But the idea of seeing Venom. The idea of seeing Venom rip people to shreds is interesting to me. Sue me. So yeah, like.
And also, like with his villains, like you're gonna have a villain who can turn his hand into 2 gigantic axes, and you're gonna tell me I'm really not gonna get to see him use them?
Well, they already show Venom doing it in the trailer. That's one thing.
With what you were saying, Arlen, getting to see him rip his enemies to pieces, like that also can then play into the whole dynamic of like this is a man who's being taken over by something that he doesn't have control over.
Yeah, I heard it was supposed to be kind of like a werewolf movie, in that he is dealing with this very monstrous entity that lives inside of him that is capable of great feats of horrifying violence. And if that's your dynamic going in, don't soften that. Make it do the opposite. Make it more intense.
It's not just that. Right. If you're going to not have Venom do certain things, how are you going to have his villains be more monstrous?
Exactly.
But, okay, so, like, on the flip side, like, is someone who's playing devil's advocate.
Right. No, and you're doing a good job, by the way.
You should have done it by doing the Al Pacino devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, taste but don't touch. Like,
as you watch... Okay.
God damn it, Lou.
And the reason I keep on bringing up The Dark Knight, because The Dark Knight, being a PG-13 superhero film, is like possibly one of the darkest superhero films I've ever seen. And you have like Heath Ledger Joker in that movie, who's like pretty terrifying, pretty scary, and has like these scenes where like he like the scene where he tells Rachel about his origin, like the second origin, and he's like cusping her hair and he's pulling her in and he's telling her this really intense story, and it's terrifying. And then there's also like the other scene like very early on with the pencil, and he kills Black Dynamite with the pencil. And it's like, and you don't see him kill him, you don't see the pencil go in. You basically just see a very quick like cut of the pencil going away, and it's like, and that's like, kind of like fear of the mind shit, and also it's like the fear of something bad about to happen, and but that's also like
but that's also that guy's a man. We're talking about a giant slime alien monster.
Also,
go ahead, Arlen. Go ahead.
Also, Christopher Nolan's a better director than Ruben Fleischer, even though I fucking love Zombieland.
That was going to be my point.
Zombieland is one of my favorite movies. I fucking love it. So that aside, also I've seen what happens when you put him in charge of a PG-13 movie, and it's called Gangsterland or whatever the fuck that movie is.
You mean Gangster Squad?
Yeah, Gangster Squad or whatever, and it's bad, and it's so cartoony and so goofy, and there are characters who think that they are the scariest people on earth, and they are not scary at all. And I point you back to another film that is very similar to Venom, from 1997 that we reviewed for the show, called Spawn.
It is
that film was PG-13.
It is so similar to that trailer that it's scary.
Yeah. It's so goofy and ridiculous. And I'm not saying that that movie would be great by any means if it were R-rated. But if it were, I think it would be a hell of a lot less ridiculous.
The popcorn and spectacle value would go up exponentially. So at least if it's like a fucking hackneyed script and just like a total like poppycock movie, you can walk away from it going like, I mean, yeah, the story is just total bullshit, but it's really awesome to watch Venom grab someone and just like pop them in half.
Yeah.
Or like, even if it's not him, like one of the other symbiotes do it.
Yeah,
like, if he's the one holding it back.
If we'd seen the Violator bite a guy's head off in Spawn, we would all have liked Spawn far more.
I was gonna say if Carnage is cool as Violator, like it'll be pretty cool.
Man, the Violator is the coolest part about the Spawn movie.
Also, we've already seen a PG.
Easily is.
We've already seen PG-13 Venom.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So here's the thing.
See, like my shred of optimism for this movie is based on the idea that I don't think it can ever get any worse than Spider-Man 3.
I don't know about that though.
Say that.
Here's the thing, though. Okay,
you say
the problems with Spider-Man 3 do not start with Venom.
No, because Venom is something that was added to it. Because Sam Raimi had a vision, and then Sony was like, "Hey, Venom," and he's like, "Excuse me, I'm working here."
Well, it's not just him, though. It's not just him. It's Emo Peter, and
that's the worst part.
It's Harry and his whole amnesia
it's
whatever.
Harry, it's Harry and his
teleportation ability,
pie eating scene.
Yes, and his terrible face prosthetics, and just like Venom in that movie, he is like really bad cheap frosting on top of just a shit cake. Just like
yeah.
Ugh.
The last thing I will say about Venom is that no matter the quality of Venom, it will have no scene that is as good as the pie-eating scene from Spider-Man 3 or the dancing scene from Spider-Man 3.
I mean, yeah, like, the pie-eating sequence is so bewildering to me at this point. It's endlessly amusing because I can't for the life of me come up with an explanation for it. Like,
it's perfect.
How does he disappear?
Well, the same way Bucky does in Civil War.
Goblin serum.
Yeah, the same way Bucky does after he gets some.
Remember when they played the entire song "Shout" and Mary Jane and him dance to it? Remember that scene?
Remember that scene?
Remember when that happens?
Mary Jane is terrible. Oh wait, that's
yeah.
I mean, here's the thing.
Bryce Dallas Howard was in that movie.
I was gonna say,
Mary
Jane and Peter Parker are terrible throughout all three of those movies.
That's
hot
fair.
Hot take.
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard played Gwen Stacy.
The only other thing I wanted to bring up, Arlen, to as an addendum to what you were saying about Christopher Nolan being a much better director, it's also look at the cast of Dark Knight, and I'm not saying that Tom Hardy or what is the actress's name? Is it Michelle Williams?
Yes, Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams, and even I never remember the guy's name. He was in
Riz Ahmed.
Thank you, and Riz Ahmed. They are all very good actors, but they still aren't on, with the exception of Tom Hardy, the same caliber as I think some of the actors that were in Dark Knight.
They're not turning in performances.
I think Tom Hardy is on par for
sure.
No, that's why I said with the exception of him.
His accent is
I was gonna say that was the joke where I was like, I think Tom Hardy is on par with the actors in Dark Knight Rises.
But yeah, it's just
well, that's the thing. I'd argue he's not even putting in the same level of performance that he did in that movie, or fucking in the movie where he played the Krays or whatever. Like, I'm getting Tom Hardy phoned this in. Tom Hardy in that movie, like.
Well, it doesn't help that he changed his voice to sound like Terrence Howard.
Right. Yeah. Like.
I don't know if you're Tom Hardy and you pick a film like Venom and you phone it in. Like,
I think if you are Tom Hardy, you pick a movie like Venom so that you can go do a bunch of other awesome TV shows.
Yeah.
To be fair, to me, Tom Hardy phoning it in, it's still better than most actors. I
think Tom Hardy read a script where he was like, I get to be covered in black shit? I did this before.
He's also
literally black shit.
Thank you for getting that.
I was gonna say he gets to do like a RDJ for at least a third of the movie, hopefully.
Yeah, he painted himself all black and was already naked in Bronson. We've seen this already.
Yeah, we have.
That's how he should have looked as Venom.
And hey, that movie was R-rated.
With his stupid little mustache.
I do have to say, before we I'm sure we're gonna basically skip over the other part of Sony. I had to Google Jackpot to figure out who she was and why I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. I do want to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jimin Hansu's voice. Who?
So here's the thing. On the other Sony story was they announced that they're doing a bunch more spin-offs than they initially said they were, including Night Watch and Jackpot and Silver Sable and Blackcat are getting their own movies again.
And Night Watch is
Why
another
is Blackcat
Swan
getting
ripoff,
her
right?
own movie? She hasn't even appeared in a Spider-Man movie yet. No, she did not appear in Amazing Spider-Man because she was still Felicia Harding. She was not actually Blackcat.
Also, her character was mostly cut from that film, so who cares?
Yes. Yeah.
That's like
It's not
saying
the same
that is
thing.
like saying that what's her face is Mary Jane, even though you never see her on screen for a moment as Mary Jane. Because she was excised in the film. It doesn't matter anymore. It's gone.
Best thing that happened to her career.
Exactly.
But okay, so here's the thing: like the Jackpot thing never happened. In much of the way that like the Silver Sable Black Cat movie was announced and kind of didn't happen, but like
You mean it's kind of like Gambit?
yeah. So
Well,
I think objectively, like I kind of like to see a Silver Sable movie. I kind of like to see a Black Cat movie because I feel like they're like characters who have a thing, but like aren't really kind of explored as characters in the comics outside of like the main protagonist that they're like kind of supposed to be a part of, and that's fine. But like guys like Morbius, it's like I kind of just don't give a shit about.
Yeah.
No, I feel the exact opposite. Like, I have no idea who Silver Sable is. She appeared in like one game. Black Cat's like a shitty Catwoman. At least Morbius is a vampire and has like some backstory.
Excuse me, he's a living vampire.
Here's my thing with this like these announcements. Like how like the fucking balls on you to sit there and announce these thinking that anybody, and I don't mean like hardcore comic readers, anybody with a general interest in comic book movies is going to give a flying fuck about these people they've never heard of. And if they ask somebody who's maybe a casual reader would go, I mean, they're not really important. Like,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. If tomorrow that Sony announced a superior Foes of Spider-Man movie, I'd be fucking on board. I'd actually I would actually be like, hey Sony, can I send you money? Can I get this movie made?
Also, this is a studio that has instilled so much bad will onto moviegoers that, like, I can't believe they sit here and just make these announcements left and right. It's like, you motherfuckers put an emoji movie out.
Okay,
I think it goes against you that they don't understand America and, like, our culture here.
But
so they just let Amy Pascal do whatever the fuck she wants.
But here's the thing. I'll like, and I brought this in the chat earlier. Like, yeah, like, Sony live action pictures ain't great. I feel like Sony animated pictures is doing some kind of cool stuff. It's like, sure, you gotta do shit like the Emoji Movie because it's an easy buck, but like, hey, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse looks fucking great.
That is the concession I'm going to make, is because like Into the Spider-Verse is the most interesting thing Sony has done with Spider-Man yet.
Mm-hmm. But how much does Amy Pascal have to do with any of that?
No,
I don't think she has anything to do with that.
Exactly.
But it doesn't matter because it's still part of like the Sony brand, and I feel like
but it's like a different group of people running it.
But it's so far removed that people aren't going to notice the Sony name with it, other than knowing that it's Spider-Man is owned by Sony, or at least the rights.
But I feel like when people are like, "Oh yeah, Sony's garbage," and it's like it's but it's
lately
like the thing
they
that's
have
like
been.
so you know, it's like Sony's game division and Sony's anime division, Sony's music division, and Sony's film division are like completely different sets. But I feel like it's like the same thing where people like complain about like, oh yeah, Hollywood sucks right now because it's all about like remaking films, and it's like, well, you're just like taking an entire industry.
No,
it's like,
and I have a coworker who is constantly on the there's just no original ideas left. I'm like, no, there's plenty. You just actively you don't participate in the search for them at all.
Yeah,
you don't go look.
You don't go
things.
see.
Yeah, there's things that people bring to you and say you might like this, and you go, what is it? Oh, it's an action film. I hate action films. Meh. Like, okay, then you just dismiss tons of films you might actually like based on a genre that can go either way.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about like Into the Spider-Verse is like that I've seen like, you know, most major and semi-major like animated films this year, and besides I Love Dogs, like I don't think there's going to be like an anime feature that is like as good as like maybe Into the Spider-Verse. Like,
I mean, that's fair.
And I hope Into the Spider-Verse is good, because I desperately want like that movie to be good so bad.
I mean, here's the thing though, like I get really into the people who are actually behind these things, and this is Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Mm-hmm. So I don't need to worry about it at this point.
Yeah,
I don't. I just don't. Like, it's Chris Lord and Phil Miller. Phil Lord, Chris Miller.
The other thing is,
I know it's going to be good.
The other thing with announcing like a Silver Sable and Blackcat and like Jackpot thing, it's like there is always the constant fear of when does this genre of adaptations become saturated. Right. And I think trying to reach too far into the bottom of the barrel is where things get slippery.
Right.
Well, and
when does Amy Pascal run out of sandwiches?
I think this is exactly what leads to oversaturation, is people who have the rights to things who don't understand how to use them properly.
Exactly.
Or in a rather PC.
Yeah.
Exactly
mean like an Aquaman movie?
Like,
hey, Aquaman is a good character. Maybe
one
not what
could
they're doing.
argue that some of Marvel's films have been missteps, but they still haven't been such horrific missteps that they haven't made the money and they haven't pushed their grander view forward. What Sony is doing is clinging desperately to something in hopes that some of the shit will stick against the wall, and they haven't had any success with it yet. And that's within the microcosm of the Spider-Man / comic book movies that we're talking about.
I feel like,
and that's another part of it, is that this hubris that comes with like, oh, we can totally build a universe with these 900 Marvel characters that nobody talks about.
Yeah,
like I get it. I love the idea of taking something that's like the Guardians of the Galaxy was a gamble, but you also put so much talent behind it, and you had an interesting enough angle to it that it was a success. Like Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 are basically all the evidence you need to say that the powers that be don't want an interesting angle. They just want to push these movies out.
Here's the thing though. Like, Amazing Spider-Man 1 was like, and 2
is not bad. Amazing Spider-Man 1 I don't think is terrible at all.
But it was directed by Mark Webb, who like did 500 Days of Summer, which was a really good coming of age film. And it's like, oh, like that guy's gonna do like a young Spider-Man film about like him becoming Spider-Man. You're like, oh, hey, cool. Like that guy might do something. And like it just as easily like James Gunn, the director and writer of Super and Slither and a bunch of trauma films, is doing Guardians of the Galaxy. Like that's like, to me, like immediately I heard that sounds awesome. But it also could have been like a disaster in the way that like Sam Raimi doing fucking Wizard of Oz. Sound kind of cool on paper.
I mean, to be fair, that movie's just bland.
The thing is, like, as soon as Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes around, you see the nefarious underlayer, because that movie is going in 7 different directions at all times, because they're like, we need to build the Sinister Six, and we need to build the Green Goblin, and we need to establish Electro, and we gotta do this, and we gotta do this.
And Electro needs to have a tooth gap.
Oh, sure.
And then it needs to close.
Which was
his tooth cap needs to close.
Well, I think one of the big...
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
One of the big differences to me is if you bring up, say, Guardians and the Amazing Spider-Mans and like some of the other Sony stuff. All right, it's one of those strange... one of the things I like that Marvel has done, Marvel Studios. Yes, they'll maybe get like a big director, but most of the actors they'll get the star in the films are kind of almost nobodies, and then they'll get like 1 or 2 big players to play kind of roles like B-level roles. But Sony and some of these other companies have done like get A-listers, as many as we can, shove them all in here, pay them $1 billion, and then these movies flop. They spend all their money on the actors.
Yeah, like what? Like,
and then they blame the concept.
Paul Giamatti doing an Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. Paul Giamatti in Spider-Man 2 is probably the best thing about that.
He's so entertaining.
What was Chris Pratt before he was Star-Lord? He was like
Parks
the fat. Yeah, he was the fat guy in Parks and Rec, and they turned him into a sex.
How dare you? Parks and Rec is like one of the best TV shows.
Yes, he's not talking down about it. He's talking about Chris Pratt in general.
Yeah,
though.
He was the kind of fat guy, dumb guy, and they made him the star and a sex symbol in that movie.
They made him physically intimidating.
Like he was in Parks and Rec, then he did like a bit part in Moneyball. He's like the 20th guy in that movie. which you probably don't even remember if you've seen it because he's in it. And then he was Star-Lord. Like, he did nothing in between.
He did Kick-Ass. He was in that, but I don't know if that was before, or not Kick-Ass. He was in Wanted. But I don't know if that
he
was
gets cracked in the
Parks
face with
and
a
Rec.
keyboard.
Yeah.
Whoa, he's in Wanted?
Yes.
He's the dude that's banging James McAvoy's girlfriend.
Shit about Wanted, because that movie sucks.
And it's something,
that movie's hilarious.
At least for me, that can sum up Sony's plan with any of the Spider-Man rights is when Amazing Spider-Man, the first one, was first coming out, my wife, who doesn't really pay attention to any of this stuff except for when I mention something to her, she's like, why are they making another Spider-Man movie already? Didn't we just get one of those? Like, she's kind of my barometer for the general audience of movies. Like, I mean, she's been slowly changed over to the dark side of the comic world with me, but still, like, the fact that someone who ostensibly doesn't really care that much about comic book movies is even like, why are they making another Spider-Man movie already? That kind of speaks for all of Sony's missteps when it comes to these Spider-Man universe films.
Well, that's the thing. That's a sign of a larger problem that I have with Sony, which is none of their choices feel like they're made because they're trying to make the best film.
Nope.
They just don't.
They seem made to make the most money right now.
Yeah. I think part of why there was such a negative reaction to Ghostbusters, part of it, not all of it, part of it was it felt inauthentic. It felt like they were just making something to make money.
Whoa, Sony does. So I'm looking up, like, Sony is like a bunch of shit, and I didn't know that they own Annapurna. That's a great studio.
They have a heavy stake in them, and they have a marketing deal, a distribution deal with Annapurna.
Yeah.
But I believe it's still owned by Megan Ellison.
But I do believe, I can't remember, it was like 2 years ago it started with the room before Spider-Man came out, when they were like, Sony was really talking about selling their film division because it was the only part of their entire company that was losing money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, they were.
Well, it's because they had sold all the other ones that were losing money. But yes, yeah. I don't know where to go with this other than I just don't trust Sony. Like, again, like, they make a Ghostbusters movie and they don't make it because they want to make a good Ghostbusters movie. They make it because they know that they can appeal to female audiences and make a lot of money.
Also, here's my thing.
Okay.
Something else with the Ghostbusters movie is that the PR backlash they handled like a bunch of idiots. Like, you don't try to combat trolls by attempting to you can't combat these people with the tactics they use. It's not going to work.
Okay, telling them we're going to do another Ghostbusters movie that's going to be men, and it's going to be like a continuing the story from the old ones.
Like your best.
Oh my god, I remember that. Oh,
yeah, and it's going to be a universe. There's going to be a crossover, guys.
Your best
before
defense,
they even release the first movie.
That's what I said about. That's what I said about Star Wars and how they keep, like, they seemingly want to respond to these just vile pieces of shit that keep kind of popping up every now and then. Your best defense is to just ignore these people. Don't go out there and play into their nonsense, which is exactly what Sony did. They let what's his face, the director, I can't remember his name.
Anyways, the point was they make a lot of bad decisions lately. And they're making decisions based off of fear and not based off of actually trying to make good choices for the company.
And I was gonna say, like, not to push the argument any further, but like the new Ghostbusters is like no worse than Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, I agree.
And here's the thing. The thing with that movie is that you couldn't pay me to hate it because I bought a ticket for it, and then on the way to the theater, I get a text message saying, from friends back in Jersey, saying one of my best friends just passed away. So I walked into that theater with the news that one of my best friends was dead, sitting there hoping that the next 2 hours would distract me sufficiently enough not to emotionally break down. And it did, actually. I was having a grand old time. Probably because I knew once I walked out, I had to go home and sob. So,
not
to bring everybody down, but like, there's no way I can. Also, I think Chris Hemsworth in that movie is so fucking funny.
It's pretty good. It's pretty funny in that movie. I mean,
hey, so let's move on to something that isn't Sony.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. So this is one I actually didn't pay that much attention to, but Dark Phoenix is getting reshoots. 3 months, apparently.
It's not
reshoots.
3 months. It's not
3
months. It's only 3 weeks. There
was
a
Is that how long it takes to delete the file?
And start over from scratch?
There was a correction to the report that had popped up.
I mean, you say that, but Saw 1 was filmed in 18 days. Not saying it's the same thing.
I don't think it's the same thing.
By the way, I feel like I'm the only person who likes X-Men on this.
No. Hey, John. I don't hate the X-Men. I actually love the X-Men on paper. I think I'm the only person on this show who really enjoys Days of Future Past. I think
it's fine.
I think Days of Future Past is pretty good. Like, I think Apocalypse is pretty bad.
I think here's the thing for me. A lot of people try to say that Days of Future Past is the best X-Men movie.
No.
And I want all those people to slap themselves in the face.
No, it is a breath of fresh air because, one, it's like the way they did that story, I think there was too much to fix in regards to like kind of tidying up continuity. So I don't think they were ever going to succeed in that department. However, I think what it tries to do, it does really admirably.
It does, it does a really good job.
And it produces some really resonant stuff. Like, I think James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart's conversation through telepathy is just fucking powerful. I love every second of it.
That's just brilliant, yeah. My thing is, First Class is one of my favorite superhero movies.
God, that is an excellent X-Men movie.
That movie
Oh man, you're
fired. I did not understand, like, as like someone who likes X-Men, like the reason why people like that movie, and people are like, "Oh, it's so good! It's like a breath of fresh air for the X-Men." I'm like
because it had competent action scenes.
Yeah,
I think if you cut out, we're talking about First Class, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think if you cut out January Jones, it's like one of the best X-Men movies.
Yeah, it's really fucking good.
She's the only part of it that I'm like she's such a waste. Because Emma Frost is a good character, and she's such a waste. And I'm an X-Men fan, but like, I don't know. I would love for them to make Phoenix direct to Blu-ray, just to be like.
Here's the thing. I think there has been this weird kind of groundswell of this thought of like, oh, there are no good X-Men movies, and that's not true. There are
totally
quite
not
a few
true.
good
There's
X-Men.
like 4. There's like 4 good X-Men.
No, okay, so here's the thing. It's really easy to go back and just hate on the first Bryan Singer movies. It's really easy to do that.
Oh, the first 2 are fine. The third one is...
They're fine.
The third one...
Well, the third one was directed by, what's-his-face?
Brett Ratner.
Yeah.
The third one is...
The third one's bad.
The third one is objectively dog shit. Like, there's no defending it.
The third one's bad.
I think 2 is just incredible.
Yeah.
2 is the best.
It's fine.
1 is good to great.
Yeah.
But I think 2 is carried by, like, really compelling stuff.
They're also movies of the time. They're post-Matrix, pre-the world we live in now.
Yeah,
they very much are.
The black leather suits.
That and like the ending of that movie, like you go back and tell young you, like before that movie ends, like, hey, you might see a Phoenix show up in this movie. You'd be like, fuck, no, they're not. And then it happens. You're like, holy shit.
The casting in those movies was amazing. Yeah. And there was
if Famke Janssen was immortal, I would just fucking have her play Jean Grey until the sun exploded.
She was such a childhood crush for me from GoldenEye.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you had dreams of her choking you to death with her legs,
stop.
huh?
Don't hear my wandering the show. That's my job.
Would that be a bad way to go out?
I'd like to hear more about your dreams.
I mean, Lou, now that you say it, that's not a bad way to go out.
I actually I don't remember her from GoldenEye, even though I know she's in it.
Well, I remember the line when she dies. He goes, "She always did love a good squeeze."
So you don't remember her and Pierce Brosnan having a sex fight in a sauna? It's
barely.
Pretty fucking great.
But I remember seeing her in a House on Haunted Hill and being like, "Wow, who is that goddess?"
She was also in one of my favorite shows, Nip Tuck.
She's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
She's been.
She played.
Are you talking about that show with Dr. Doom?
Yes, she played a trans woman that was hooking up with the other doctor's son.
Damn.
Yes.
He was also in that really bad werewolf show on Netflix, was it? Or what the hell?
I never.
Hemlock
Yeah,
Grove.
that's where it
Hemlock
was.
Grove? Hemlock Grove
Yep.
sucks.
Okay, but skip to X-Men Origins Wolverine, and the first 10 minutes of that are good, and then
Wasn't she also
oh
taken?
god, oh
Hold on,
god,
wait. Hold on. X-Men Origins, you mean the opening credits that was the movie I wish I got?
yeah, it should have been the whole movie. That should have just been him.
Logan and Sabretooth fighting in wars for
Yes,
fucking
like
50 years? Give it to me.
yeah,
And our
him
first
in
appearance.
30
of a-
minutes in World War One, 30 minutes of them fighting Nazis,
then
30
right
minutes
away-
of them in Vietnam.
The part that bugged me the most was that they made Emma Frost and I can't remember her name, but the Native American character sisters. I was
There's
so
okay.
I was like,
Lou, on the list of things that are wrong with that movie, though, like that's the one you want to
Hey.
focus on.
as the only person on here currently that is part Native American, yes, that bothered me.
God damn it, Lou.
Yeah,
what
but-
are you not made of?
Here's the thing, Lou. I
I'm
get
not
that.
I'm not
but
South Pacific, so
again,
I can't say anything about Samoa.
There are so many other things, though. There are so many other things.
like
No,
adamantium bullet and like shitty Deadpool knockoff.
Hey.
no, here's the thing. I don't mind
Here's the
adamantium
thing.
bullet.
That adamantium bullet came back in a way that I wasn't really
Yes.
expecting and was
Yeah, kind of, but yeah.
Because, but here's the thing: like Logan handles its continuity in the sense that like you can acknowledge Wolverine, or you don't have to. Either.
right.
But
There are other things in that that are bad.
Oh, like the one guy from the Black Eyed Peas is in that movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
which,
bad.
oh, Will I
The
Am.
way that they
That's
treat
fucking
Blob is
so
bad.
and
He's
his
the one
fucking
that's not blind.
his fucking stupid ass death where he just teleports into a literal spine breaker. Like what the
Wait,
moron?
wait. Okay, wait. Am I confusing the Black Eyed Peas character that was in Street Fighter with
Yes.
the Black Eyed Peas
That was
character that was
yeah.
in
Taboo is the guy with the long hair who just dances, and Will I Am is the
who
guy
was
who
Vega in the new in
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
Street Fighter film?
There's three men in Black Eyed Peas. There's Will I Am, the Hispanic guy, and then the blind Haitian guy.
Yeah, there's
Whoa,
Act
I wasn't
Day
aware
Act
we had a
fans,
Black Eyed
yeah.
Peas fan in the chat.
They were good before Fergie came in. They actually were like good backpack hip hop.
Oh, and Fergie was like a heavy metal singer before she joined them.
Oh,
Are
I
you
used to,
fucking kidding me?
I thought
Nope.
she
Wait,
was
wow.
in like a girl group.
No,
Or-
she was in like a heavy rock, heavy metal band.
Sugar Ray
Wow.
used to be a metal band too.
Yes.
Okay, anyways, point is, the X-Men movies they range from from bad to okay, that was good. And I'm sorry, Magneto killing Nazis is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Shut up, John.
But that's also like the beauty of the X-Men movies. Is like sometimes they're like pretty good, sometimes
Yeah.
they're like kind of bad. But like that's the double-edged sword of being an X-Men fan.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like my point was like there is this weird myth that like there's never been a good X-Men movie. It's like I got into a debate with
And Connor's gone for me.
Yeah, Connor.
Yeah, same.
Like I will say this: I'm super fucking excited for New Mutants. I want New Mutants to be so good, like you don't even know. Like I want
I'm
New
worried
Mutants
that
to
movie
be-
will even
I
get
want New
released,
Mutants
though.
to be so good, like more than like like the next Infinity War, whatever that movie's called. Like I
That-
want it to be good. And Dark Phoenix, I want it to be good too. Like, and whatever reshoots, whatever they need, like I hope the final project of that movie is good because
Yeah.
I love X-Men.
Everything that has happened just screams none of that's going to happen. Like none of it's
Yeah.
going to be good.
I don't know. Dark
and
Phoenix
I'm
could
an
go
optimist.
either way.
Well, New Mutants was supposed to come out 4 or 5 months ago originally,
Yeah,
It was supposed to come out in April.
and it's going
It's
to come
past the
out.
point where here's the thing. It's past the point where I think that movie's ever going to come out,
Mhm.
and where I do think that they are going to scrap that one, which is something I
do
was
not
afraid
agree.
of.
I think both films will come out at some point.
Here's my thought on it though, because like people are like, oh, why wouldn't they just make money off them? Like, one, if they put them out and they're garbage, they're hurting the brand.
Yep.
2,
Yeah.
Disney didn't put their money into it. Why the fuck do
Yep.
they care?
Yeah.
They
And
bought
also, they can collect the insurance money
Yeah.
and
Yep.
get money back.
Yeah,
They're getting money back for how much they spent on the initial Fox deal. It's not a lot, but they're getting money back.
And like to describe it, like to simplify it, like if I was buying a house and the kitchen was shitty, my offer on the house would include the fact that I have to redo the kitchen.
Yeah.
So why would I care? Like I'm gonna rip it out, even if it was just renovated. I'm still gonna rip it out because I don't like it. Why do I care? So like Disney has no reason to put out a shitty movie that they didn't make.
Yeah.
It only hurts the brand.
Yeah, or to put it out and just soft sell it.
Yeah.
So no marketing, whatsoever. No, not even any notification to the theaters that you're putting it out that weekend.
They should make it a Movie Pass exclusive.
Yeah. I mean, that would be the real way to kill your movie.
Movie Pass is even going to be around by the time this movie.
Well, that's the point. It's the last one.
Yeah.
I mean, the other way to kill these movies would be to continue to, rather than releasing them, just sell them to Netflix. That's the other way to just massacre these films.
But the thing is, they're going to pull out of Netflix because they're going to own the majority of Hulu.
I mean, that's
and
true.
their deal with Netflix is coming to an end soon, anyways. I thought within the next year or two.
Well, no, that was a reference to Paramount and how Paramount is just they're just
Netflix
saying
is their dumping
fuck
ground.
it. Yeah, because the previous head of Paramount made a lot of decisions the current head does not agree with, and he just has decided that I'm not going to release any of our movies. That's why Annihilation came out on Netflix in most other countries.
I think it was every country but ours.
Yeah.
Canada, it came out limited, and somewhere else it came out limited. But most of the countries, it came out straight to Netflix.
Yeah.
And like that movie Extinction that just came out, I guess that's a Paramount one.
Oh, is that the one with what's his name from Ant-Man?
Yeah, and Coulter, which is really weird too. Marvel people from different divisions.
Wait, did you say Ann Coulter?
Yeah, I was.
No, and Mike Coulter. That's what I meant to say.
I actually also heard Ann Coulter, and I was very confused. I was like, wait, where is she in the MCU?
Extinction, guys, is actually
she's the worst villain in the MCU.
She's a secret Skrull, except it's not so secret.
Well, no, she was playing Death the whole time. We just didn't know it.
I don't know.
Connor's power went out. Okay.
And also better taste. Oh, wow.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to lead the show now.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
There's not too much more. We're just going to... You have, like, one big story-ish?
Yeah.
We've got to blow through a bunch of Star Trek.
Yeah,
well,
I might cut some stuff.
That, but...
Okay. Well,
oh, yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
Let's sort of wrap up this X-Men thing. I think both of these movies, I don't think they're going to do well. I think they're going to be bad because I was all in on Simon Kinberg directing because he hadn't directed before, but he's a good writer and he's a good producer. And every movie that you can point to, be like, that was bad. That's not necessarily his fault because that's how writing works.
I hope they're good. I want them to be good.
I agree.
I like X-Men, and I'm using the power of positivity.
And I want New Mutants to be good still because I am on that Anya Taylor-Joy train.
And I also want a superhero film that does something other than just being a superhero film.
Yep.
If you do a superhero film that's also a horror film, I'm like fucking on board.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, part of why I'm excited about it is, again, Anya Taylor-Joy, and also, like, I want the same experience I had with Split. Split, for me, was a really interesting experience in a theater because I was watching a horror movie that at the end turned out to be a supervillain origin story.
Oh, yeah.
It's also like the parts of Legion that are awesome because it's so weird.
Exactly. By the way, with Split, you couldn't pay me to see Split.
Wait, what? Have you not seen Split yet?
You couldn't pay me to see
a
M. Night Shyamalan movie. After The Last Airbender, I'm done. He's black.
Okay, John. Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing, John.
That's the booze.
Here's the thing. I understand why you're saying that.
Try again, John Kent.
Because
just like the Phoenix, Connor is reborn.
I understand, Seiler, why you were saying that you did not see Split yet. I completely get it. But trust me when I say...
Whoa, how did we get here?
Well, my question is, like,
John revealed that he hasn't seen Split yet.
Why did you watch
Rocks?
Why did you watch Last Airbender?
Yeah.
Last Airbender, to be fair, that movie broke me. That movie broke me. I tried watching it for 10 minutes because my younger brothers can get me to watch anything for 10 minutes.
I saw that movie for free because I worked at a movie theater while it happened, and I'd never seen the show. I know.
Oh no!
No, I just like your way of describing it. You watched it when it happened, like it was
when it happened.
Mass extinction.
Like you saw 9/11, but it was The Last Airbender.
So I went in with basically everyone I worked with was massive fans of the show, and I was like, "Oh no, I'll go in blind with you guys." So I'm surrounded by this like kind of group enthusiasm. So at least it'll be an experience. And I went in and like I'm like this, and I'm holding and going, this is bad. I look over, and every one of my friends has this completely broken look on their face. I was like, oh, now I feel really bad because this is bad for me, but it's exponentially worse for them because they walked in this theater with like just rainbows falling out of their ass. They were so excited.
Yep, it was a thing.
I just remember like watching The Last Airbender, and like also like it's not like I just saw The Last Airbender. I saw like every other M. Night Shyamalan movie up to that point, and like The Last Airbender was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
That's a completely understandable mindset.
And then people were like, "Oh, you guys see The Village? The Village is really good.
No, it's not.
Village is really great. It's a return to form for him." And I watched it. It's fucking garbage.
Well, I would say before Last Airbender.
I would say it's
no. That's The Visit he's talking about.
Oh, yeah, The Visit's good.
Okay.
Or the Visit. I'm sorry. And then people say the same thing about Devil, and they're like, "Oh, this is really good."
No, the Devil was actually really good though.
I was
Devil's actually pretty fucking good.
Whenever Lady in the Water came out.
Oh, you mean Devil? Devil? The movie.
Here's the thing: Devil is great because it's a movie about the devil on an elevator, and I'm sorry, it's fucking good.
Are you
so
are you talking about the movie where you guess who the devil is within the first like couple minutes within the film?
Yeah, it's
always the old lady.
fun.
I've seen Legion. I know how this works.
It's totally the old lady.
Yeah, well, it's better than
not a fucking surprise.
It's better than Lady in the Water, where the entire thing is solved by a kid looking at the back of the cereal box.
Well, no, you're talking about the movie that's M. Night Shyamalan's life story.
Here's the thing: Split does not operate like a movie you'd assume Shyamalan makes because it doesn't fall into the same trappings that like a movie like The Village does, where you're like, all right, what is the asinine twist that you're gonna hit me with? And then the twist in Village happens. You're like, I'm so mad that I predicted that you would do something this insulting. And then Split withholds its big reveal until like the very last scene. And the reveal is something that's so fucking ridiculously out of left field that it just breaks the entire film.
Are you talking?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, John knows what the reveal is.
Well, no, the twist is, which we all know because the third movie is coming out. Glass.
Yeah, there's no point in not. Yeah, it's a post-credit scene where you go, holy shit, these movies are connected. That's it. It's not it's not Signs where Signs falls apart in the last 10 minutes because suddenly God.
Well, Signs is
aliens who mastered. Also, aliens who mastered space travel can't fucking open doors. Are you shitting me?
Signs is a masterpiece compared to his other garbage.
Can't open doors. Also, can't survive water.
Can't survive. Can't
none of that
water,
dumb stuff
but invaded a planet covered in 2/3 of it. Get fucked.
Yeah, but none, like Arlen said, none of that happened in Split. Split was a competent and well put together film.
It's interesting. One, because it's also you're witnessing like what kind of a fucking machine John McAvoy is.
Yes,
he is just all over the place in that movie, giving like completely distinct performances for each personality he's adopting, and it's incredible to watch. That and Anna Taylor-Joy. She could be painting a fence for 2 hours, and I'll go watch it.
Yeah, she's fucking great. She's one of my favorite young actresses working right now, and her and McAvoy, they have so many scenes that are just fucking brilliant.
She's in Glass, though, right?
Yeah, she is.
That and like the take on super people in that movie is interesting because it's not from a fucking explosion or it's not from radiation or gamma beams. The idea that you can create kind of this extra powered person through emotional trauma is really interesting to me. Is that it kind of operates the way that Machine and Deadpool did, where they're just torturing him until his genes pop out. It's more like you can fuck with someone's brain so hard that they will just like develop this weird this supernatural ability.
Yeah, it's really good. You should fucking watch it. Jesus Christ.
I'm trying to remember, how did we even get here?
No, because we started talking about New Mutants and how I wanted that to be the new Split, but I'm still unsure if the movie will actually come out.
My vote is, I think you and John said like that you think it will. I don't think it'll come out.
My thing with New Mutants is like, I think I heard it put somewhere that because I don't know what the plot is, but I think someone said like, what if ghosts were real in a universe of mutants, and what happens when a mutant becomes a ghost?
Yeah, but that was when they were first making it. All this stuff recently is like, ugh.
Yeah, also, Disney's taken over at this point, apparently, or they're at least about to take over in terms of the day-to-day stuff. And I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know if they're actually gonna make the movie come out, or if they're gonna even finish it.
Why are you gonna put $2,000 into a car that's Blue Book value is $1,000?
Yeah, and again, 3 months ago when we thought that the deal wouldn't be over till November or this December, it was a different story.
I love,
but it's not.
I love how that turned out because, Arlen, you had the most knowledge on how this kind of thing would operate. And everything you said made sense. And then, the real world looked at you and said, "Now, watch this."
well,
totally twisted it on you.
The AT&T and Time Warner merger also happened, or did at the time. And that, I think, might have fast-tracked a lot of things.
Disney also paid some people some money, apparently.
How dare you?
The AT&T Time Warner thing was definitely much more of a philosophical question of monopoly than the Disney one, because that involved multi-platforms.
I mean, is it really philosophical if the question is, do we want Joker-themed Galaxy S11s?
Man, here's the thing. I know this is like a joke that you've clung on to. But the moment I see one of these and the words "damaged" are inscribed in the back, I'm gonna buy one. Just so I can drive to your house and fucking throw it at you.
I was going to say shove it down his throat, but that works too.
Yeah, I will go full Kane on you from See No Evil and make you swallow a phone.
I was going to say you're going to run for.
I might get a second phone just so I can have one.
What?
Just so I can.
Oh, I said you're going to run for governor or run for mayor and win.
God damn it!
Wow, that was an even better one. I don't follow Glenn Jacobs' political career, but apparently I hear he's kind of ultra right wing, which makes me upset.
Well, it makes sense.
It does. If you're one of Vince McMahon's friends, I'm assuming you're crazy right wing.
Okay. Well, if you're a really rich guy, like a really rich white guy, it makes sense
to an extent.
Yeah. I haven't heard much about the politics of Kane.
Also, Kane has been metaphorically dead to me since 2004, so I don't really give a shit.
Also, isn't it in Tennessee or Kentucky?
It's Tennessee.
Well, I mean, I imagine he can rest on his laurels because of all that money he made when he was a dentist. So.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, that man.
Nobody.
Actually, I get it. Isaac Yankum. But no, he's also been steadily employed by that company for the last 20-ish years. Never got in trouble. Hardly ever got hurt. Was a model employee. Has been just consistently making money and also having successful business ventures on the side. Whatever he does, he's gonna fucking whatever he wants to do, he's gonna fucking do it anyway. Yeah. So,
can I ask you a question? Does it count as an autograph if I have a picture of him where he signed Kane and not his actual real name?
I also have a picture where he signed Kane, and it's him it's him unmasked on his fucking couch. With his dogs around him in his fucking.
Oh no, I have him in his OG original costume.
Oh no, my friends arranged this for me somehow. They got a picture of him in costume, another picture of him in costume, him on his couch signing the picture, but it looks like someone snuck up on him and took the picture.
That's actually kind of awesome.
He's fucking bald, and he's sitting there in his fucking I don't know, his Captain EO t-shirt or some nonsense like that.
You didn't mention the part of him signing the thing that.
Oh yeah, he's signing the photo that I got in the mail from him with my name on it.
That's pretty great.
So strange.
That's another level of meta. That's really great. Actually,
you have a signed photo of him signing another photo you have.
Yeah. Well, did I tell a story about? I tell a story about the dragon. Okay, did I tell you the story about the Dragon Gate wrestler who I had signed the towel from?
Yeah. Okay. Are we done with X-Men? Because we need to move on.
Yeah, sure.
I actually do want to talk about. The Batwoman.
I'm assuming we are. I missed 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, it's just us rallying against John because he didn't watch Splits.
Yeah. So this story
I was also rallying against John, but John Kent. Because he sent a tornado to the house.
God damn it. Okay, so this story, Ruby Rose's Batwoman, this started out as a very happy story earlier in the week.
Oh, God.
And it has become a much more disgusting story.
Here's my thing. I don't care.
Hey, short story, Ruby Rose's Batwoman, pretty cool. But also, hey, at the same time,
maybe Hollywood should know more than one lesbian actress in Hollywood.
Technically, she's bisexual,
and that's the end of it.
Yeah. No.
Well, the other, unfortunately, the epilogue to this is that she quit Twitter today because of the reason everybody quits Twitter, because of shithole fans decided to fucking open their mouths and harass her endlessly.
Because
the one word that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, because
fans.
Also a bunch of fake fans who believe that they think they know everything about comics.
What are you talking about? I don't want the social justice agenda of shoving a lesbian superhero down my throat. Why did you make Batman a woman and you made her gay? I'm so mad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Batwoman already existed and was already gay, so everybody shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and had a pretty great run up until DC decided nobody gets married and basically made that writer leave the book. So
yeah, there was whoever's doing it now, it's okay, but that run during New 52 was awesome.
Yeah.
Then they went
on. Talk about that on previous episodes, but yeah. Anyways,
here's the thing:
put the claws away, kid.
Like the casting of someone this high profile for a CW show is like just flooring to me.
She's high profile, but her IMDb not the best. Like I watched.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I knew who the fuck Ruby Rose was before I even saw a picture of her, because nobody would shut the fuck up about her for like 2 weeks a couple of years ago.
Also, she's great in John Wick 2. She's probably top 3 part of that movie for me.
They also get in the third Triple X. I think she plays a mute character. So
wait,
no, that's
John Wick.
Or is that a different movie? That's
John Wick.
Yeah,
that's her thing in John Wick.
She got sucked into a giant fan in the last Resident Evil movie, and that's basically all I remember her doing in those movies, because nobody matters in those movies except for Mila Jovovich.
Anyways,
she's kind of like a new Mia Jovovich. She's like Mia 2.0.
Yeah,
they're very similar in like looks and acting ability.
Oh, are you talking about Mia Dosovich? Because Dos is Spanish for two.
Oh, I am offended by your bad joke. Not because you did it in Spanish, but because it was so bad.
John, I was really with you in the beginning of the show when you made a very stellar joke, and now I'm really regretting that.
Okay.
John, back to the subject at hand.
Anyways, here's the thing. Here's why Ruby Rose is a really good choice from a practical point of view. She already knows how to do stunts, which is an important thing on a CW show, because having to train someone is not easy. I know that Melissa Benoist apparently learned it very, very quickly, but we do not want a Finn Jones situation.
Or a Katie Cassidy situation where she just looks fucking unconvincing fighting anybody.
I actually didn't catch what show she's on. Is she on Arrow?
Okay, no. Here's the thing. Here's how this works.
Show.
So the next CW crossover is going to feature Batwoman. They're going to go to Gotham.
Yes.
Okay.
And then that is going to launch a Batwoman TV show on the CW.
Yes.
Which, just to tag on to that, with the comments afterwards, I think me and Hunter commented, like, the way that they talked about it, it seems like she's part of the Earth 1 thing, because they were like, Bruce Wayne already exists in this world because Oliver mentioned him. That kind of tells me it's Earth 1, which I prefer because I don't like the idea of these other Earths having the other shows.
Here's the thing. I don't, but if they're gonna do it, they need to embrace it. Like, that's the thing. If they're gonna have multiple Earths, you need to embrace the fact there are multiple Earths, or you just need to fucking rush into Crisis next year.
I think they use Crisis to save Supergirl.
We had already said that Flashpoint was supposed to be their in, and they ignored it and opted for a really lazy adaptation.
So Crisis next year. Do it.
Which again, because they just announced that they're in talks to do a Supergirl TV movie. Supergirl's
that show is dead.
Yeah, if that show starts to really fall hard, I can see them doing a Crisis to basically kill that show and have Melissa show up on Earth 1 as
you're very optimistically assuming she'll even show up in those shows.
Why
bet my
is
life
Supergirl dead?
No, it's this. Here's the thing: every time WB announces they're going to use a character that is also featured on the CW immediately writes them off, and they're basically never mentioned again.
Except for Flash, currently.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. So here's the thing: the Supergirl show, we have to see how the next season does, because I guess this last season, as much as we hated it, it was like
a lot of people
all-time high since CBS.
I don't know why.
Yeah, that too.
It was bad.
Like some of the best reviewed episodes since the first season, and some of the most seen since CBS.
And they're apparently setting up a Red Sun-esque thing.
Oh yeah.
I guess something. Well, here's the thing: we're gonna watch the first few episodes just to see if it's
because we're masochists.
Watching.
Yes.
Well, we've also, we haven't announced this, but we have made some changes into how we're going to do the CW stuff in the future.
Yeah, because trying to absorb all these shows in a weekly process, especially when they are bad, when they are really, 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 really bad for an extended period of time, is no longer fruitful, enjoyable, and it actually makes us sincerely miserable.
They're adding more.
I'm a 40-year-old man, and I felt like I was on the edge. I'm a 40-year-old man, and I felt like I was on the edge of death when we were getting close to the end of those things.
It's the problem with like 27 episode seasons or 20.
But here's the thing: like it wouldn't be quite as bad if like Supergirl season 2, it's fine, but like Flash season 3 was mostly terrible and at times okay. But when it was terrible, it was some of the most frustrating times I've ever had watching TV. And then season 4 happened, and I wanted to pluck every hair out of my head individually with a small pair of tweezers over the course of a day, because it was just fucking infuriating at how that show was paced, structured, written, and ultimately executed. I hate that season with every fiber of my being. On a cellular level, do I hate that season?
That's
if it had a face, I would punch it in both of its eyes.
Well, it has multiple faces because we are all the Flash.
Fuck you.
God damn you. Okay, anyway. I do want to address one thing. Some of the backlash that caused Reba Rose to quit Twitter was over her not being a Jewish actress, which...
Wait, what?
I go back and forth on whether or not that's valid or not.
Wait, I'm super confused. What does that have to do with anything?
Wait, what?
Because the character is Jewish.
Wait, when?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Like,
yeah.
I've been reading Batwoman for a while.
Okay,
and
hold on.
Yeah. And there are a lot... No, here's the thing. For a lot of people, it's very important that she's Jewish.
I understand.
So let's be calm in what we say here next.
No, I understand the desire for fair representation of religion, of race, of gender, who you want to love, how you want to love. I get it. But the idea that there are these sets of people who are fucking so addicted to outrage that they can't go a fucking day without getting their blood to a certain temperature is gonna give me heart palpitations. Like, I'm so fucking fed up with this culture. This is nauseating. It really is.
No, this one's... Yeah, it gets to a certain point. It's like...
Well, it's the whole...
You're all babies. I don't care what God you believe or don't believe in. Shut the fuck up.
I wouldn't mean about it, but like
I'm sick of it.
If it actually mattered to the character,
I think it's like one of those things where it's like, I think like the defining personalities and character traits of Kate Kane, is a lot of things, and I mean like I'm also someone who like reads a lot of Batwoman, and like I like her being Jewish is not, I feel like, a defining character trait of her.
I don't remember.
Well, I mean, you say that, but I mean,
Batwoman since the beginning, I don't remember her being. It's not like when I know think Jewish characters. I think Ben Grimm and Shadowcat.
Okay, here's the thing. I completely agree with all that, but remember, there's also a significant group of people who, for them, they got really angry when Dick wasn't Romani. They just got visibly angry that he wasn't Romani origin.
There was no fucking pushback when Wally West
was a gypsy.
Like when Wally West decided to go become a Buddhist on fucking Flash, nobody got their panties in a wad. Like it's
He was in a.
I mean, but I mean, like also here's the thing: is like people who like live within the North American states, like it's like we also don't have like a preconceived notion of like how people react within like Romani states, and it's like
I didn't really think that people would be mad about Dick Grayson until just now, where they're like, "Oh, why isn't he Romani?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know why he's not." But also, it's like, okay, cool, whatever. Maybe he should be. But I also don't really think about it for more than a couple seconds.
Isn't it just a religion?
Because it in no way can really break the character.
Here's the thing. I think they mean ethnically Jewish. Also, that's the other thing that needs to be pointed out.
See, here's an example. Making Daredevil Catholic is important because that's kind of it plays into a character where he does indulge he does indulge in the punishment side of being a Catholic.
Yeah.
So if you change that, yes, you would be changing the character. Now, I don't know too much about Batwoman, but I've never heard about her being Jewish having a drastic effect on her presence.
Her presence is that she was a military brat who then came out as being gay, got kicked out of military school, and she's gay. Her being gay is the huge part of her character because she's open, not in a, I don't want to say flaunting, but she's a doesn't give a fuck about anything, and she dresses in a kind of more butch manner. She seduces women. She's kind of very similar to Kitty
Sarah.
They basically ask her, are you dating a woman? And she's like, yes. Because it's why would she lie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's interesting. I don't really care if she's Jewish or not because it doesn't seem like it has too much effect on how she acts.
A recent issue, she went to a masquerade ball and she was in a suit and her date was in a dress. That's her character. She's the masculine.
Here's the thing. Sometimes actors will take a role, and if they don't believe in a certain set of beliefs, maybe they'll go look into it and maybe it'll catch their interest. That's how people get exposed to stuff. I'm not saying Ruby Rose is going to go convert, but maybe she'll do some reading. I don't know.
I think
okay.
Maybe the human experience.
Okay, I do want to reiterate. Ethnically, Israeli. That's what they mean.
Okay.
They do not mean that necessarily converted to...
I honestly have never even heard of this before because her name is Kane. Her last name is Kane.
Yeah, her name is Kane.
She's redheaded. Yeah. Her dad is redheaded. Her sister's blonde and blue eye.
This sounds more like people projecting, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but
No, I mean I'm reading a thing right now, and it says that she celebrated Hanukkah with Renee Montoya during New 52. So during the events of 52, actually. Not New 52.
I wonder if Montoya
I did hear about the controversy of her being Ruby Rose not being Jewish, which I didn't put a whole lot of credence into. But though, kind of the one controversy I heard about her being hired that I thought at least had a little bit of merit, not a huge merit, but some was that Kate Kane being a character who is LGBT, being hired by Ruby Rose, who is in fact LGBT, is good, but Ruby Rose is one of the most well known lesbian actors.
I think I heard this put. Yeah, I heard this put somewhere. It's it's high profile and it's a bit of a shock, but at the same time, it's also incredibly safe. It's not really a gamble.
It's super safe.
I mean,
and it's the fact
it is safe,
and it's
but
the fact
it's
that
CW.
There's a lot of LGBT actors within and actresses within Hollywood, and it's they picked her because she's the most high profile, which makes sense because it's
again, I don't think that's what it was.
She's not high profile. She's medium low profile.
Way high profile.
But she's the most well known.
Gustin.
I really think
she's high profile for CW, but in general, I'm saying she's not.
I really think the fact that they don't have to worry about hiring stunt people to train her, the fact that she is already going to be able to do her job very easily. Yeah. I think that was a bigger deal than her being high profile.
Yeah. My biggest worry about that show is more the suit, because that is a lot going on in her suit.
Yeah,
well,
the wig.
The wig and the
okay, here's my thing. I've already said about CW costumes is that stop putting people in decal leather jackets because it started becoming very obvious once Mon-El showed up. I'm like, you took Superman's costume and you turned it inside out. That is literally all you did.
Yeah,
and
they're
then you look at, and then you look
barely
at
a half step above.
If you stand season 1 Barry next to season 1 Eobard next to season 2 Zoom, you go, that is the same suit, literally down to the fucking zipper. And you put a lightning bolt in the chest. You assholes.
It
and
works
then now
better
I see,
for the Flashes.
Well, here's the thing. Now I've seen Barry's new suit for season 5, and oh my god, that headpiece is the most distracting bullshit ever. So I don't know if they've really learned the proper lessons about making people's costumes yet.
Well, what's weird is because you say that, but then like the Legends costumes, I would say aside from Adam, have all been like pretty awesome. Like even the Hawk in season 1, I would say looked goddamn amazing for being
they do
people.
Yeah.
I think like Sarah's is probably the only one that still falls into like more leather.
Well, that's because it's like an Arrow costume.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah. I mean, that's what she would wear, though.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Well, also she's not
wear anything else.
She's not a real character in the comics, so they can kind of do whatever the fuck they want with her.
Exactly. But
because what's his name as Heatwave? He only appeared in like a quote unquote costume in like one episode of The Flash, I think.
He has his goggles, and that's basically about it.
Yeah, that's about
he
it.
had like a jumpsuit in one episode, but that was
whereas the funny thing is, like with Captain Cold, like when he fucking showed up as Citizen Cold, I'm like, wow, you guys pulled no punches on his ridiculous look, and I love it. Like he had a big old fucking fur hood and his stupid square sunglasses. I was like, yeah.
Well, the worst one is the new character on The Flash, the daughter, where she's literally just wearing Iris's jacket.
I mean,
well, and
with all the things.
Real quick with Citizen Cold, those are actual snow blindness goggles. Like those are what you would wear so you wouldn't go snowblind.
Yeah, but like Commander Steel, like what's his name's costume is like really.
Man. His costume is dumb. I'm like, why do you have a suit? You can turn into metal.
But he has hemophilia.
I kind of like
hemophilia.
I kind of like that he wears a costume because it's just hilarious that like he's such a nerd that he's like, I want a suit.
I know, he has a helmet. Why do you have a helmet, dude? Your head is made of metal.
Because Arlen will complain if he doesn't, okay?
He looks too much like Colossus. But you have a ship that can make anything. Why don't I just make me a costume? It's better than Ralph's.
Yeah, no, like the suit is important, but first of all, like we also haven't seen her in a second of screen time yet, so we have no idea how this is going to play out. But I think that what I'm taking away from this is the people who are spending all this energy whipping themselves into a frenzy. If you love this character so much, why don't you take 5 minutes and just wait for it to come on screen and then make your decision there? Stop jumping to these fucking angry-ass conclusions all the goddamn time.
Because there are people that actually don't watch the show and they're just on Twitter to be mad and yell at things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's all Twitter is now. That's all it is.
I think there's this thing that people are doing a lot now where they're trying to just hold on to a thing that they identify with that makes them, and it just becomes a whole thing of like who they are, and I think that they kind of get too wrapped up in that.
That's definitely a thing.
That sounds familiar too.
Yeah,
I mean, like I think like everyone wants to see themselves within the heroes that they read. Which
that's fair,
and I mean like. I think that's like why it's like super important to have like, you know, minority and LGBT characters as like heroes within stories, because it's like they're like a mostly like not relegated like character class of characters.
Yeah, they're rarely represented at all.
Well, as someone who is a minority of many different things, like I agree with all that, but there comes a line where it's when whoever is doing it for the reasons why it works for the story and the character, and when it's pandering, and the pandering side is really gross.
Yeah.
And it's like a weird line, but when you know the pandering thing when it happens, you definitely know.
True.
Like it is
the opposite when Johnny Depp is in Lone Ranger.
Yes, exactly. Or the one that no one talks about that I brought up before, which is Tom Hardy as Bane. Everyone talks about whitewashing, but no one brings that up.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
I mean, to be fair, they changed the location show, but still, it's still bad though. That's the thing.
Because I am a Batman fan. I am actually a huge fan of Bane, even though he's a ridiculous '90s villain. And
but he did get some really interesting story arcs. So
we've seen him in 2 different live action things. One where he is Hispanic and he's a complete, basically mindless monster, and the other one, he's a white English, like.
Is he though? Is he English?
No, he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be Pakistani. Apparently,
I don't either.
And in the end, he's still just a pawn to somebody who her big scheme involves having sex with the guy she hates.
We'll get to that in our Dark Knight Rises review in 2022.
No one will ever give me a response of why she has sex with Batman.
It because makes that.
Here's why. Because Dark Knight Rises is a movie that was supposed to be something else, and then Christopher Nolan was like, fuck, now I have to do this without my key component, and I don't know what.
I mean, the other answer is Batman's only weakness is women.
No. He had already given her the thing for the thing.
That's one of my favorite bits from How It Should Have Ended. Is like every time one of the females show up from the movies they're making fun of, he's like, "Hey, you want to know my secret identity?"
Yeah, exactly.
And someone goes to Bruce Wayne, and he's like, "What? How did you? I mean, what?"
Her evil plan is she got the thing, and then she was like, "Well, it's raining. Let's go have sex in front of your fireplace guy who killed my dad, and I'm mad at."
Right. Yeah. And then, okay.
Yes.
Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Are we good on Ruby Rose and how we were?
Totally.
Let's talk for a second. We were all happy earlier in the week.
I'm happy that she got the role. I'll be curious to see how it's handled.
Okay.
Hopefully, it's not going to be bad.
I'm happy she got the role, and people need to stop freaking out over stuff.
Yeah.
My last thing will be under 45 minutes as she hooks up with Sarah.
No, they're not in that. They're not going to be in that crossover. Apparently, the Legends aren't going to be in the crossover.
Only because
I'm fine
Sarah is anytime she's on screen with somebody that's breathing, they have no ability to control themselves.
Right? Yeah. It could be like a human. It could be Killer Croc.
I love the fact that Sarah basically has like a fucking magic vagina.
She has no compunction with sleeping with anyone.
Yes, which is why I love that Constantine joining that show, because I would love him to be the male version, where it's just like guys just like have no.
Which they've already kind of set him up as that, because I think he flirted with Snart, Rory, and somebody else. Yeah, like the two of them were just basically hitting on everybody.
Yeah, because Earth 1 Snart and her had a thing that never happened, and then Earth 2 Snart and Constantine had a thing that never happened. It's kind of almost why he left. The thing was like that they were flirting.
Yeah.
Which I do like.
Anyways.
But yeah, no, I agree. I'm sure there will be a crossover that she shows up on. But that'll be a while away. Okay. Do we even want to do the other extras?
I don't even know what the fuck they are at this point.
I cut them down quite a bit.
The biggest.
So the last two.
Oh, go ahead, Arlen.
The last two I have are Chris McQuarrie and Paramount being dicks to the Chris's.
I have like literally like no opinion on Chris McQuarrie, so.
Okay.
Well, basically, Paramount wouldn't pay up for Hemsworth and what's the other one?
Chris Pine.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
Well, okay, so Paramount, if that's the one that we want to go with.
Here's my thing with this. How stingy are you being where you can't get a fucking Star Trek movie off the ground? Like, what? Star Trek, do it! Like,
here's the thing. I brought up in the chat. Like, I honestly thought with like the talks of Tarantino writing a new Star Trek movie, I thought they were starting from scratch.
Nope.
No. He's writing
I thought they were gonna do like a mishmash timeline thing, because like fucking everybody who has ever been a thing who is still alive in Star Trek was like, Tarantino's making a Star Trek movie? Gimme.
Yeah, well, I know
Patrick Stewart was like, I'll do that in a heartbeat.
Tarantino's a huge fan of Next Gen, so everybody assumed he was doing a Kelvin version of Next Gen, from what I read. Because he's a mega fan of Next Gen.
I never heard that one.
Yes.
Last I heard that there were 3 or 4 different Star Trek movies that were all in development.
Side note, like, what does everyone think of like Star Trek Beyond, which was like the last Star Trek movie? Because
I didn't see it. I still haven't finished it, but like, it's not. I don't think it's. See, when I first saw Into Darkness, I was like, I like this, I guess. And I thought, because I'm also a sucker for like the concept of an alternate timeline, like variables and constants and stuff like that. Like, I love the ending of Bioshock Infinite for those reasons. I love that idea. So that being the central theme of the movie, where it's like, this is Khan, but if things played out entirely differently, yeah, cool, I'm into that. But it's also just kind of dumb popcorn stuff, where it's like, yeah, the climax of this movie is Spock punching the fuck out of Khan for 35 seconds. Like, I don't really care.
But okay,
really
so like
bad,
I really like Star Trek Beyond, but like the thing about like,
I agree.
Into Darkness is like it tries to build up this mythos like super
I
hard.
am God.
But these are characters who have never met each other at any point in their lives. And the only reason why like the audience cares is because there's a history because of the films.
Yep.
It's in-universe pandering, because you're going to play off nostalgia people who know who Khan is, but then there have the people who are like, why am I supposed to have any kind of response to this? Who the fuck is Khan?
Yeah. Why do I care that Carol is here? Why do I care that
I just want to do one thing. Of all the people who are like, oh, well, why is Khan white? Khan in the original movies was played by a Hispanic man playing an Indian man.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Also, I think they say in Into Darkness that like he's had his face changed several times.
Well, he's like genetically engineered, so who kind of?
I'm still against. Like, I'm still kind of angry now, with some time and some.
I'm more angry that everyone was
I can't say anything bad about the performance because like Benedict Cumberbatch is like a fucking force of nature, and
his performance is great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But he should have been an Indian actor probably.
Well,
because it's now,
the least
not
they
the
could have done
70s.
was give him the goofy mustache that Khan had in the original Star Trek series.
Also,
I would have preferred
the idea
dropped the line about Corinthian leather.
Yes.
The idea that you even approach Khan when Wrath of Khan is like almost perfect is just laughable to me.
Yeah.
And then you remake the entire last act of it, and then you put it in your movie, right?
Yeah,
that's what you do.
But you make one ship way bigger,
right?
And then you have the obligatory Alice Even of underwear.
I think Peter Weller is like amazing in that movie.
Oh yeah,
and
there's a lot of good
it
parts.
made me want to see like a villainous Peter Weller even more. But I've watched about half of Beyond, and I was like, this is good. This is really good.
It's really good.
I think
the
my only
best
issue
one,
with it is that
probably.
like every villain of the Star Trek Kelvin movies is kind of the same. It's just like someone who has a grudge against Starfleet.
Well, the problem is with the whole Star Trek thing is that the shows were really not action oriented. They're
not driven by villains. They're driven by exploration, discovery, and interaction with different species.
And philosophy. They're science and philosophy episodes. It's like the ultimate nerd. Somebody's playing like Rick and Morty in the background.
I know. Yeah.
I don't hear
Not
it.
me.
Where is...
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um.
Sorry, I just had to shout that out because like I don't know what I was saying, and all I heard was Mr. Meeseeks.
What the hell is going on?
Did John fall asleep?
I think you did.
He might have.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's definitely the Mr. Meeseeks episode.
It's a
we have been going
like
through a bit.
twist.
Okay, let's push on. Okay. Where were we?
We're talking about Star Trek and how Paramount just allowed this to fall apart.
Yep.
Yeah, Paramount's basically throwing in. I think they're throwing in the towel as a company. I think they're waiting for Warner Brothers or Comcast to buy them.
The thing is, like, how can they be like, oh, we're not going to give you money? It's like, all right, whenever you
Warner Brothers or Comcast, I think you mean Disney.
Oh, you're alive.
No, because Disney. Here's the thing. At that point, Disney gets breaks antitrust laws, and then it gets broken up into 3 separate companies.
Yeah, you seem to think that antitrust laws seem to matter within major fucking companies.
Yeah, like especially when
it's funny because like I'm super fucking positive about a good X-Men movie, but like I am not positive about antitrust laws right now.
God damn it.
Also, especially with our current president, who's the most corrupt man.
So here's the thing, though.
I could go into a whole episode about antitrust laws, but
going from 6 major studios to 5 major studios, that is one of those things where they can kind of. they can sweep that under the rug a little bit.
Well, I think part of it is that you also have to add in
4.
Netflix and Amazon as kind of other studios, and YouTube almost.
Yes, but Paramount being bought by Comcast or Warner Brothers, that's a whole nother deal.
Yeah.
And also, if that leads to Universal saying, "Well, let's just buy Sony's library,"
because
that's a different thing. That's 3 studios running the entire game, and those 3 studios each controlling a third of the market.
I feel like
we went from like 5 to 4. So
no, we went from 6 to 4, 5. Yeah. That's what we went from.
Well,
because
is your 6 including again Netflix, YouTube, Amazon?
No, I'm not even including them. Warner Brothers, Disney, Sony, Universal, Disney, and there's somebody I'm forgetting. Paramount, yeah.
Well, let Paramount buy Universal, and then they can have a Namor Hulk crossover movie.
No, Universal's going to be Paramount.
Regardless.
Because Universal buys Paramount, that's like Goths being like, all right, you vamp kids can join us.
Because the people who are winning hardest at the moment over the last few years are Universal and Disney. They are crushing everybody else.
Yeah, because Universal's doing super well with Dark Universe, by the way.
Well, no,
but they have the Jurassic Park movies.
Every time
and
a Dark Universe movie
movies.
fails, a Fast and Furious movie makes $10 billion.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I know. I was super joking about that.
I would have to say for every Dark Universe, an Indominus Rex is born and put into a new movie.
Or a Harry Potter spinoff comes out.
See, I would think that before Sony would buy them, like Google would buy Paramount, just to get their foot in the door.
That doesn't break antitrust.
No, I know. We talked about another episode of how much.
Arlen, didn't you say if Google gets to the movie industry, like people's buttholes are gonna clench?
No, it's just if Google decides to fight back. Well, if Google decides to put all their money into YouTube and say we're making a film studio and we're gonna put out movies at the same level of quality as the movies coming out in theaters, and we're gonna put our movies out in theaters.
See, I think we talked about this like 2 or 3 episodes ago. What was the plan that they said? It was like
Project Goliath, which was an attempt by the 6 major studios to basically gang up on Google, or it was a plan to, in case Google decided to just say, fuck off, we run...
See, the thing is, though, they never saw the dark horse called Movie Pass.
Well, I don't understand how Movie Pass can still move on as a business, even though they seem to be perfectly bankrupt.
Well, because you don't understand their thing.
You
don't understand their business model.
They are not practically bankrupt. They are actually bankrupt.
So no, you don't understand their business model. It's step 1. We give people $10 a month. They can go see whatever they want. Step 2. Step 3, profits.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear? Did you see the headline today? Is that now they limit you to one of 2 movies you can select per day, and the options change every day, and then they give you one option, which is like today, for example, one of them was Mission Impossible. Cool, high profile, getting good reviews. The second option, Slender Man. That is basically a middle finger.
See, all I heard was
I would actually rather see Slender Man than Mission Impossible.
Okay, John, you're fired.
I think you are fired. And I was gonna say all I heard was you two, and I would much prefer a system where Bono picks what movies you can watch in the day.
Here's the thing.
Or the
I agree, actually.
Bono has 2 choices, and every other month the Edge gets to give like a vote.
Yeah, but when you pick the one that what's it called? Like you select the one that he wants you to pick, and he goes, yeah,
and then a free song appears in your iTunes
I was gonna say, no, not even a song, like their entire discography.
Hold on. Hey, hold on. Okay, here's the thing with you two. Not to go on a tangent.
Up to Baby is great.
But before a certain point, U2 was a very good band, and then like the 2000s happened.
Yep,
right.
Up to Baby was their last good album.
I was gonna say, and then Bono found his voice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyways, on the John doesn't understand the Mission Impossible 5 and 6 are fucking great bandwagon.
Even 4 was.
4 is fine, but 5 and 6 are fucking amazing.
I feel like Drunk John is like Allen 2.0.
Okay, but did you even see 5? Yes, there's a 6th one, and it's great. I've seen it.
Okay,
it's the one that's getting rave reviews.
Like Mission Impossible, I guess, within the last 5 years.
If you see the newest Mission Impossible, you will eliminate all your Thetans.
Because the last one I thought was with Brad Bird, I thought was like pretty okay.
Holy shit! I thought we were talking about Star Trek.
you haven't even seen the good Mission Impossible movie then.
I did see the good Mission Impossible movie. It was the one that was directed by Brad Bird. It was the fourth one.
Well, that's because
you see the fifth one, which is even better.
Oh my god! Can we wrap up on Star Trek and please end this godforsaken episode?
Look, man. All I came on here was to talk about like new Uncanny X-Men, and that's all I want to talk about for like 2 minutes.
I say we give it 2 minutes.
That's the only reason that you came on.
Because you're a squirrel.
I mean, also because like I'm drunk and watching TV,
damn it, Lou.
and I also enjoy your guys' company. But like, also I like was at my booth, and I saw the news about Uncanny X-Men, and I was super excited enough to where I yelled in my booth, and people were like, "What are you talking? Like, what are you yelling about?" And I'm like, they just announced the team for the Uncanny X-Men, and it's super fucking good.
I say we give John the floor to close out this episode.
Yeah, you are an insult to HR.
I also think that we should really stick to our laurels and actually tell people 2 drink minimum, motherfuckers, because every time we have someone on the show who is drunk enough to behave in a certain way, we fall apart so fast.
Hey, how dare you? Because I feel like I've been
subscribed to Dianetics doesn't mean anything.
No, here's the thing. In regards to our previous guest who was drunk off his fucking ass, you're nowhere near as bad as Gary was.
Look up the episode, the one that Arlen almost deleted.
Gary made me put down my headset and walk away from the show for about 5 minutes.
That was my first episode appearance.
Yeah, Gary brought up Uwe Boll, and I had just finished reviewing House of the Dead for Movie Dumpster, and I wanted to throw that man to a fucking volcano. Not Uwe Boll, Gary. Because he wouldn't
So you were trying to pull some of the actual Scientology whatnot, because that's how all of the Thetans were released into the world.
But anyway, John has a fucking speech he wants to make. But here's the thing, I actually want to hear this because I don't know what the fuck's happening, so I didn't read this article yet.
Okay, so basically, Marvel is going to be doing.
I have no idea what's going on right now.
Just ride with it, okay?
Yeah, totally. Just feel the ride.
Just let it happen, Lou.
Okay, so basically, Marvel just announced a 10-part miniseries called X-Men. What's it? Disassembled? That sounds about right. That feels like a keyword that they use a whole lot. But regardless of whatever this whole thing is called, it's a 10-part weekly miniseries that's going to be written by Ed Brisson, who's the current writer of Old Man Logan, Matthew Rosenberg, who has been doing Multiple Man, which has been pretty good. He's also been a main part of a lot of X-Men miniseries that have been going on that have been pretty fine. And then Kelly Thompson, who is the best fucking Marvel writer that's been going on for the last year. She wrote the Kate Bishop Hawkeye series that was nominated for a bunch of awards last year. She's writing Nancy Drew for Dynamite right now. Fucking great. If you ever see a book with Kelly Thompson's name as a writer, pick it up, because she's great. And so the artist for this book is going to be Mohammed Azar, R.B. Silva, Yilduri Sinar. R.B. Silva is pretty good. Mohammed Azar, great. I don't think I've ever seen a book with Yilduri Sinar, but cool. I'm always open to see brand new writers brand new artists I've never seen before. But regardless, 3 great writers, 3 great artists. I'm really excited to see this 10-week event.
It's only 10 weeks. Hey, DC.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It's I'm really excited for X-Men to become super important again. It's one of those things where the Inhumans took the front seat, X-Men took the back seat. I'm really excited to see X-Men become super great again.
No, I agree with you in that sense because I grew up on the X-Men cartoon show like a lot of people, and that property became very near and dear to me. But comic-wise, I fell out of it at the same time I just fell out of reading comic books altogether. So I haven't really read a whole lot of X-Men the last 15, 20 years.
Sadly, I'm exactly the same because we're the same age.
The last thing I read that I remember vividly involving the X-Men was Avengers vs. X-Men, and I hated it.
Oh, I was out before that.
So much. Which is why I'm glad that Phoenix exists, because that is a perfect parody of that god-awful event.
Last time you said Multiple Man, remember, Multiple Man was not even a mutant anymore. He was something else, and then they just dropped it.
Also, I agree with taking the X-Men and putting them back where they belong, because I think the Inhumans thing was an experiment that didn't exactly take off because it was supposed to be tied to a movie that didn't happen, and now it's attached to a show that is an abysmal failure.
But so the promo.
Well, also,
I was gonna say the promo image they end up showing up is like So by the way, if no one's reading Multiple Man by Rosenberg, it's really good. At least the first 2 issues have been so far. It's going to be a 5-issue main series, but if you see the promo issue, it's you got Multiple Man, you have X-23 and Honey Badger, and Jean Grey, the older one.
The Honey Badger. Tyrann Matthew.
Honey Badger is the female clone of X-23.
Sorry, I was making a joke because there is a football player that's nicknamed the Honey Badger.
So the first arc of the all-new Wolverine series was revealed that Weapon X tried to do a bunch of clones of X-23, and one of them was this young girl who's fucking the greatest, and they ended up giving her a codename called Honey Badger, and she's part of X-Men Red right now, and she's the coolest. She's so good.
Wait, is that the little girl running around with X-23?
She also has a pet Wolverine, like an actual Wolverine.
Yeah, they have a pet Wolverine who was gifted to them by Squirrel Girl, because Squirrel Girl found this Wolverine and just assumed that Laura could talk to Wolverines, and Laura named
Oh my god,
Jonathan.
I love
one question.
Connor, guess who wrote that series?
Stop.
Tom Taylor.
Tom Taylor.
Wait, are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
I'm not kidding you.
Is the Wolverine the animal?
This is what I keep on telling you.
Literal size?
Tom Taylor.
Well, the Wolverine named Jonathan is a literal Wolverine.
Yes, but
his name is Jonathan.
Here's the thing. Tom Taylor wrote Injustice 1 through 5 and Injustice 2. And I think Injustice 2 is an insult to comic book writers. It's an absolute.
No, here's the thing.
It's an absolute shit comic line.
We've had this conversation before, though. You and me have had this conversation where I'm like, only Wolverine's actually really good, so I'm really shocked. All these things are true.
And what I've said about Injustice 1 isn't very fun, but it's an interesting story. It's interesting because it's a 5-year story, and you get to spend a lot of time with people. Whereas Injustice 2 is this doesn't need to happen. We're going to fill with lots of unnecessary deaths and cameos that don't matter, and this will go nowhere.
Well,
Two
Justice
things.
1 is
that
a
happens
story
in
that
all the
leads to the
Wolverine.
game.
Two things I need to know. Well, one thing I need to know, one thing I need to make a statement about. One, Honey Badger, she's a clone of X-23, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's
one of many.
Where do her claws pop out? Because I know X-23...
She doesn't have claws.
Oh.
No, she does have claws. They pop out of her hands.
Okay, but they don't come out of her feet, or they don't have some new place for them to come out of, her kneecaps or something like that.
I thought you were going into a very different area.
No, I'm not yet.
And
not yet. The other thing.
Remind me if I'm wrong. None of them feel pain. I think that's.
Also, didn't they do this movie with Michael Keaton?
Oh God damn it, Lou.
I mean, it's here's the thing. It's Wolverine. Every time he pops out his claws, he feels it.
Yeah.
But it's instantly
it's healing factor.
And that's what X-23 and Honey Badger have.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to bring up is I find it awfully convenient that both the Fantastic Four are getting a relaunch and the X-Men are being brought back into prominence shortly after the Fox deal went through.
Well,
Isn't that convenient?
Everyone on the planet saw that coming.
Yeah.
Yoda. Yeah, man, I don't give a shit about the Fantastic Four, But like,
oh, what do you just?
But hey, man, like if X-Men are coming back to prominence within Marvel Comics, like I'm totally game for that.
You're a heathen tonight, John. Everything you say is evil in some way.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like I read like the new Fantastic Four, very well drawn. Because Sarah Pichelli is an A+ artist, and she should be like on any A+ book out there. And the stuff with like Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters is the best thing in that whole book, but it kind of feels like a zero issue. Like,
I haven't read any of the new Fantastic Four. I'm just saying my love for the Fantastic Four is an undying star. So,
okay, like. I mean, like, I don't even love them, and I read the first issue, so I don't know what that says about me.
I think you've had a few drinks, is what it says about
I guess
John.
that means like, I know more about the Fantastic Four currently.
Fair enough.
What an episode this has been.
Yes.
Okay.
I really say we just complete the circle, and like very soon, all of us just get shit-faced drunk on the show and just see what happens.
I mean, that's something we should do.
What's weird
Here's the thing. My birthday is next month.
Oh, okay. So we know what we're doing then.
The question is, but go ahead, Lou.
I was just saying, currently, John is really not that far from me, and technically, I could probably go to wherever he is and find him.
What is?
Well, okay.
Is
Also, here's something else happening. In October, Ed is coming to Vegas.
Oh, nice.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm probably going to organize something for that too.
So,
But
my question on the drunk episode, real quick. Now, are we talking beer drunk? Are we talking hard liquor drunk? Are we talking wine
have
drunk?
two drinks
first of
before
all,
we go on.
I would only do hard liquor drunk because there's no way I'm going to have like I'm not doing a podcast with a belly full of hops. Get out of here! Like,
Well, that's because you drink
off.
cheap shit.
Exactly.
I had a beer called Unicorn Vomit today, and it was 13% alcohol,
Oh.
and it
okay,
was
first of all,
it was
like,
aged on hundreds of pounds of watermelon.
I'm going to be turning 32, so really, if I want to just get there with beer, I go buy 1 Four Loko, and halfway through it, I'll be completely fucking destroyed.
Oh God.
Yeah,
I
but
forgot to
it's not a
include
real
40s.
Four Loko.
Yeah.
Those have been outlawed for a long time.
Yeah, they took out the taurine or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
because
send you a picture of Unicorn Vomit, though.
Yes, please.
It's on the Facebook.
But
It's delicious.
John, do you have anything else to say about the X-Men?
I'll take that as a no. All right, let's get out of here, guys.
Yeah.
'Cause Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh man,
No, it's our Lord Zeno.
I have been Connor McGraw. Jesus Christ. I have been Connor McGraw. We just recorded the Guyver 2 episode of Movie Dumpster this week. As I promised, we went and did the sequel. Me and Joe loved it. Sean hated it. I don't know why. I'm just glad we have a dissenting opinion on the show somewhere. Usually it's me, but this time it's him. So that'll be coming out soon, along with Devon's Ghost, which was painful, and it features 2 Power Rangers, Johnny Young Bosch and the girl who played Aisha. And it's a slasher movie that somehow, against all odds, ends in a karate duel.
Oh, so is none of the Power Rangers that committed murder in real life?
Yes.
No.
There's like 2 of them.
Jesus
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
God
multiple.
damn it.
Well,
One of them like drove 2 people out into the middle of like a lake on their boat and then dropped them into the lake with cinder blocks or some shit on them. It's
Yeah.
really fucked up.
Well, that's what happens when you have a show that runs for like 30 years and has like 800 cast members.
Yeah.
It's just law of averages.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, and if you include the Japanese cast also, like...
Yeah.
But what are you talking about? They brought back 3 original Japanese cast members, and they're playing it's a Power Ranger spinoff where they're all moms. That's fucking awesome.
Oh God.
Christ.
Okay, what's my name? Arlen Harrow here.
You're Arlen Crane. You had an archaeological dig.
That's right.
You
should join me.
Speaking of Guyver 2, the main villain of Guyver 2 is named Arlen. I didn't know that.
I noticed because I'm me.
Although because of your show, I had like a half-hour conversation with my older brother about that movie. So thank you, Connor.
Apparently, not to dwell on it too much, but I feel like we stepped in gold there because it seemed to tickle a lot of people's nostalgia. And I heard about it a lot for the first time in my life since I was like 15.
Because it was exactly what you said.
To see us bring something up and people go, "Holy shit! I haven't heard about this movie in 20 years."
It's Power Rangers, but with like blood and gore.
Yes.
Yep. Lost Horror podcast every week. Project Hawkeye coming soon. Look out for that. Yeah.
Anything else, Arlen?
No.
Okay.
My phone died, and I was just like, "Is this show over?"
No.
Plugs over?
No. Actually, you're just in time for plugs.
Oh, hey. By the way, I'm in Washington, D.C. right now. I don't know if this will come up at the time where it'll be done by then, but if you are... I think I'll be in Detroit in the first weekend of November for YomaCon. So if you're there, come to the Faku booth and come say hi to me. And, yeah, that should be pretty fun. But before then, like, hey, go pick up any Xmen comics, because I love Xmen.
If I can get into your con tomorrow, I will try, but there's some dumb bullshittery going on in the city, so I don't know if I want to go.
Oh, yeah. Also, hey, not to get political on this podcast, but, like, hey, fuck alt-right fuck boys.
Fuck the ones that were in my hotel last weekend.
Yeah, actually, the funny story is that we're all about that in this show. And we actually, our philosophy is subscribe to our podcast and then jump into lava.
Yep. Or anything that
pills.
will kill you.
I
Yeah.
just
what Zeno did with all those golden 747s. He dove them
also,
head first.
Also, by the way, because, like, this probably isn't going to go out automatically, but, like, I also have a t-shirt from Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men, which is a fucking great podcast about the history of X-Men, but it's also, like, it's a Cyclops shirt that says resist underneath it. Like, I'm going to wear it tomorrow.
And on the back, does it say, "I'm going to kick you in the ribs"?
Yeah.
Scott Summers is the worst.
Not quite that, but, like, hey, fuck alt-right, fuck all you white supremacist motherfuckers.
Yep.
I'm Eric Fedorczyk. You can find me on Eric_Fedor. That's on Instagram. Cats, dogs, food, comics. Floating around the Phantom Zone, I will attempt to help you with comics, and I will suggest that you read Fantastic Four, even though John doesn't like them. Also, I wanted to give two shout-outs. One to, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, he's a gentleman from the Omnibus group that I'm buddies with. His name is, I believe it's Kemi. I'm not sure how to pronounce it properly. He's a Jewish gentleman, good guy. Also, shout out to the one guy, Leonardo, who's in the Phantom Zone. He'd asked me specifically to bring up the fact that that as we were writhing in the sewer together, I wanted to hear the words "pop, pop, pop" that he whispered into my ear because I wanted Daddy Wise to tell me about his popcorn hyphens come inside of me.
Like, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to do this thing where, like, there's an issue that's coming out that has, like, all of the Fantastic Four villains or Fantastic Four heroes in, like, the single issue. But the one best character is Miss Thing, and she is, like, not in that, and she's never in that issue, and that's the worst.
This show won't end.
Lou, get it in, and then we can get out of here.
Oh my god! Like, I was gonna do a thing, I want to do it, but all right. So, Smallville Chronicles. It's every Wednesday. Me and Alan talk about Smallville. I don't even remember what episode we're on. Somebody comes and Parker Lewis and kidnaps Lex Luthor. Whatever. Fuck it. Other podcasts that are coming soon. I don't remember which parts I am part of. But I will just end with the fact that God says, "Look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't taste. Taste, but don't swallow." What kind of a God tells you that?
Very good.
I have lost the plot of this novel.
Well, I have a class that you can attend. I can tell you about all these things.
I think I'm good.
I need you to grab these 2 metal bars, though.
See, the thing is, it's not about what you have done. It's about what the past have done.
Look, I
Have
saw.
you ever gotten
look,
into an accident, Connor?
I saw Battlefield Earth. I'm not buying this shit yourself. All right.
Listen. Someday you can have teeth as good as Elrond, but first you need to tell us about your sins and give us all your money.
Battlefield Earth was a movie only based on the first 150 pages of a 2,000-page novel.
Oh, we're done. We're done. Bye. Get out of here. Fuck X-Men Apocalypse. Fuck this. Fuck Elrond Hubbard. Fuck Scientology.
Bye, everybody.
Tom Cruise is my Jesus.
Kill yourself, Nazis that were making fun of my Latino staff at the fucking place. Bye.
Oh, yeah. Especially them.
Bye.